is so great. So we could talk about anything. Talk
You
about
know what
fire.
though? I was just checking a couple minutes ago, and I made a shill list. Can you believe that? I don't know what that means.
Can I just introduce you and then you can talk about it? Hello, chat room, everybody in the chat room. Today is Monday, the 13th of August, 2018. On the panel so far, we have Patricia, we have Stephen Harris or Steve Harris, and we have Joey Rocha. So good evening, everybody. And what's that, Steve?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Yay. What were you doing?
Oh no, can you guys hear me okay? Just making sure.
Loud and clear, brother.
Okay. Well, as you guys know, my name is Stephen Harris. I would say I got involved in this community, I guess, probably within the last year or so. But I will say that I've been, I never called it a flat earther, but if you want to call it that, it's been since the 70s as a kid. When a classmate had asked me if I thought the earth was spinning. And then I looked at him and said, does it feel like we're moving? And he says, no. So we're not moving. I don't think we're moving. He goes, neither do I. And then we left it at that. And then I remember later that day looking at a globe and then looking at a map. And I was trying to in my head figure out, I was looking at the map and then I was imagining, I think I had like a eraser, one of the big erasers that you erase somewhere in a class. And I was imagining it being a plane or driving or something and saying, okay, if it went to that end of the map, that means it would have to come back from the other end. So then I thought, okay, maybe the land just goes on forever. And so that's been my view on things for a long time. And then over the last year or so, when I started looking into some videos on the request of a friend, when my friend first told me about the flat earth thing, I wasn't really interested in it just because I had already thought, I never believed we lived on a spinning ball anyway. So I was just interested in other things. And I was like, okay, if I watch these videos, I'm just watching videos of people that I would probably agree with. Do you know what I mean? So it wouldn't be like I was learning anything. It would just be, I'd just be watching. So then eventually, so he told me about that a couple of years ago. And then I decided, okay, well, let me just watch one. And then I watched and started seeing other things that I found interesting and just watched a couple here and there. And so for the longest, I was, I would guess without knowing it, an infinite planar, I guess. But now I hate that particular term just because I can't prove that. Do you know what I mean? If I say the plane is infinite, it's just like me, like the globe head saying that the universe is infinite. Do you know what I mean? And so now I just think that we live on a plane, but I don't know how far it goes. I don't know if there's a dome. I don't know any of that.
We're all left a little bit like that, though, aren't we?
Right.
Everybody starts off, well, I know exactly. And then it's probably better not to assign yourself to anything. Just get on with being a flat earther, and we know we're flat and stationary.
Right. And so a lot of times when I talk to people, I refer to myself as a stationary geocentric. And it's kind of like a stage. Like my motto is like Earth is the stage, the sun is the spotlight, landscapes are props, sentient beings are the cast, and nature's the director. And so I look at it like a stage. That's how I look at the plane that we live in. So when people talk to me, that's how I kind of describe Earth.
It kind of is, though, isn't it? When you learn more about what it's all about, it is a stage, right from the
right, exactly. And so that's my whole philosophy behind that thing. I don't particularly have any model or anything that I subscribe to, just because I think the fact that it's flat enough is good enough for me. A lot of times, yeah, like you'll see a lot of times people will sit there and they'll have these debates and different things and talk about models and stuff like that, when really the globe people they have a model, but it's not really a model, right? Because they have to use celestial beings to confirm what their planet is, right? So it's like doing an autopsy on a body without using the actual body, but using other things around it. So to me, that doesn't make any sense. So if you can't prove what you live on just by what you live on alone, then using other things to me is meaningless. So that's the reason why I don't subscribe to any type of model. And when the Glow people bring up their, well, the sun does this or why does it doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, and as you sort of move along, there's things like, well, they're called star forts, except they weren't forts. We don't really know what all they are, and there's loads of those everywhere, and they're like quite ancient as well. So, yeah, there's so much we just don't know anyway. It's just so annoying, isn't it? Such a big gap. I have this feeling that Martin Leakey's quite right. I'm wondering, there was a big flood in the early 1800s, he reckoned. Well, much must have been destroyed then. And then I was thinking, it wasn't just a flood here, it was a flood, quite a big flood everywhere. Maybe that's why people started going to America, to get away from the flood. Who knows anymore? But it's about the same time. And then it just goes on, and I'm thinking that we have been recovering from that flood. And before that, they had a lot more than we had now.
You know what, Karen? What I've kind of, the conclusion, and Stephen and Patricia and everybody, the conclusion I've kind of come to is that, you know, we don't know our history past maybe 120, 150 years. We really don't.
Yeah,
so
that's the early 1800s, isn't it, sort of thing?
Yeah. So what we got to do is just come together in the fact that, look, we know that they're lying to us. NASA's lying, just like Eddie Bravo says, they're liars, you know, they're liars. So what we got to do is we got to come together and say, look, we don't know exactly everything. Even the history that we argue about, it could be all lies. Even the stuff that we think is on our side. So look,
yeah, we don't know because everything changes.
Yeah, and what we got to do is come together as a huge unit, a huge group of human beings. Races, all that stuff is all lies. We just got to come together. We're the 99%. As soon as we take all this truth that we know to be truth and we say, okay, look, we know 9/11, we know vaccines, we know the earth is flattish, whatever. Look, let's come together and let's throw out the 1% and let's live here freely on this land and let's start over again. You know, that's what I think we got to come to, is let's get rid of the old and get the new. All these truths, we keep arguing about them within the community. Like, did 9/11 have planes or not? You know, it's really besides the point. The basic bottom line is, look, the government, those entities are.
We needed all that to wake up, though, Joey, didn't we?
No, absolutely.
So that does play part. But in the end, you can't keep, like you say, going on about it. And that's why they're called Family United. For that reason. And we do move on. But I just was wondering, you know, listening to Martin Leakey and then seeing photographs myself, you know, old drawings, you know, there was other things here then. They're so lying. But anyway, you two know each other, don't you, Steve and Joey?
Yeah,
yes,
well,
we do.
Yeah, well,
and Martin Leakey is a stud. I love Martin. He's been around forever.
Guy. Yeah, Joey and I, we did a Facebook Messenger chat on his channel a while back. I can't remember if it was this year or last year, but he has some really, really good stuff. And we talked briefly, and you know, we're friends on Facebook, so we occasionally will hit each other up on Facebook every now and then. But Joey's a stud. He's always promoting things that I don't know anybody.
Yeah, he's a warrior, aren't you, Joey?
Yeah, I don't know anybody more sincere than him. He's really fighting for the cause, and then, like you say, he's running for president. So, you know, we'll see. I'm not sure what party. Libertarian, right?
This is okay. So the reason why I'm running for president, I don't know if I'll win or not. Of course, I'm going to try. Is just to see if I can make an impact. That's it. But the party I'm going to run with is going to be whatever one's going to get me there. Republican, Democrat, I don't care. Because when I get there, I'm going to abolish everything if I happen to succeed. So that's my goal. You know what I mean? I need a VP.
There you go. I'll roll with you. Like that.
I was laughing at the abolishing everything. Yes, please.
No, all I'm going to do to abolish everything, honestly, I'm not going to abolish everything. All I'm going to do is give free land to everybody. And free land, I believe, will solve it all. It'll get rid of everything. Nobody will have to work these slave jobs anymore because you own your own home and you can grow your own free food at your own home. You know what I mean? You're not going to be fighting with your neighbor. You're not going to be coveting your neighbor's wife. You know, all these different things because they took, you know, just like that movie Braveheart and all these other, you know, famous stories that the Native Americans, our land, all of us, was stolen from us. The easy answer, in my opinion, is just one simple solution: free land for everybody. And there's enough land for everybody. So we get that back, we get all of our rights back, and then we can decide on our own using Ubuntu. Our own villages can decide what is right and what is wrong, getting rid of those government oppression that we know there's nothing but against us. They're almost starting to outnumber us. You know, they're recruiting more government and more government all the time. And the sad thing is that the government is us too. You know what I mean? So it's just an entity. Even when we're getting mad at people, like some people say, oh, the Jews, right? Well, look, it's just a name that we're calling out there. We don't know who these people are, or they'll say the police or the whoever, but it's just an entity. And it's the powers, like Patricia says, the powers that shouldn't be are able to manipulate us. And they're doing it because they have the ability to, because if we're homeless, if you don't work, you're homeless. And if you don't work, you're without food, and they'll throw you in jail. So that's why I'm running for president. I'm going to make free land for everybody. And I hope to God that that would solve it all. And what I'm thinking is that even if I didn't make it there, or somehow they were to try to assassinate me or something, as long as the idea got in everybody's head that, hey, you know what, that's a good idea. Why are we charged for land? You know, gorillas aren't charged for land. You know, no other species on earth is charged for land. What's going on here? Who are we paying this to? You know, imagine Stephen, brother. Imagine you're the government and I'm paying you for the land. What right do you have to charge me, right? What right do I have to charge you? So that's my goal with running for presidency, because a lot of people ask me, not trying to get famous. That's the last thing I want. Right. As soon as I am president, if I am voted and I get the free land, the second thing I'm going to do is abolish presidency. I'm going to go back and hang out with everybody and live in my free home, grow my own cannabis in my own home, and just be fruitful, multiply, and make more of these babies.
There you
go. Vaccine free, healthy as can be, never been to the doctors once, born at home. They lie about everything. You know, even me, I was a little bit scared as a truther, thinking, oh, what if she gets polio? What if, you know, but nope, I did all my research. They're all man-made. They're all lies. So living proof right here, you know, not like I experimented on my daughter. Some people think that, but actually I just trusted my instincts, and I trusted that our generations from beyond never were vaccinated. Come on. And we survived this long. You know, so they just lie so well, and they keep us in perpetual fear. And, you know, fear makes mice out of men.
Yes, well, I wish that I'd known all this when I was younger. Don't forget, we're the plastic 80s. Well, in the 80s, but, you know, still a sort of young person in the 80s. So imagine how much crap they were feeding us.
Yeah, we're indoctrinated beyond indoctrination.
Yeah, like you say, with the food and everything, they're tampering with everything. You know, it's funny, even as a kid, I always wondered, the moment that I realized, you know, because I like watermelon, and the moment that I used to always wonder as a kid, when I was a young kid, when I started noticing watermelon didn't have seeds in them, when they started, I used to eat, you know, watermelon with seeds, and all of a sudden I'd eat the ones that didn't. And I was like, something's not right. And, you know, as you start getting more knowledge as a kid, you're like, oh, okay, that's what they were doing. So yeah, everything's being tampered with, from, you know, like I say, that there's the vaccines, there's the food, and they're messing with everything, and it's not healthy. I was talking to my sister the other day, and she said she took some medication and broke out. So even like, and I really don't take medication at all. I'll go get the prescription, but then I don't ever use them.
Are your family with you? Not with you about this?
You know what? They don't really. They just know me as me. They're just like, yeah, Steve does his own thing. Like, it was funny when I went to the Flat Earth meetup last week, the one in Arcadia. My son, my 16-year-old, and my sister went with me. You know, she was pretty much by herself. She was just she went with me, and then she was like, because my son had told me, I guess my son went to talk to his aunt, and then my son come back to me and he says, Dad, and I'm like, what? He goes, Ronnie, my sister's name's Veronica, but we call her Ronnie. She asked me if this is a cult. And then we were just laughing, my son and I, because she doesn't know any better. You know, to her, you know, as far as she's concerned, Earth is flat, and that's her business. You know what I mean? But you know, she thought it was interesting. You know, we had just got through. You know, we were in LA, took my dad to the hospital, and then from there, we had went off to. We were like, well, let's just go to Arcadia, because he was going to stay overnight, and we went to the meetup, and then you know, Mark Sargent, Patricia Steer, and Dave from, you know, deep under the down the rabbit hole there, and you know, and it was a cool little hangout. Yeah, and I wish I would have stuck around. That's when like I said, I came back and got on your thing and saw this, that Flat Earth dude was doing the stream, because I was like, I was just there. And so I would say they, in regards to my sister, she's definitely not in it. My brother, who lives in Canada, he can care like one way or the other. He just believes what he believes. Like if he'll look at things a lot of time and keeps them to himself, and he's more of like, okay, well, where do you go from here? He's that type of guy where it's like, okay, he'll be like, okay, now that you know Earth is flat, what do you do? Like he's real like, you know what I mean? So he's more like, he'll ask questions like that and like what's behind the whole thing. Whereas to me, it's like I'm more into like whether, and it's silly when I see these globe heads and other people talking. It doesn't make a difference what people believe in. It's like, if to me it's not a belief. I either agree with something or I disagree. And so, because I don't believe in anything. So as far as I experience, as far as I see, we live on a plane. It's not spinning through space or anything like that. So if someone else believes that, why would you ride them so hard and make fun of people for their point of view? That to me, when you do that, that says something about you, that you're
Even
not confident.
I commend you big time, brother, on your approach with your family, because I hear a lot of other flat earthers trying to beat a dead horse or whatever expression you want to use, and then they end up losing their family members. It actually happened to me, even though I promote not doing that in the very beginning when I first came out, and I got disowned by a couple of my family members. So your approach, brother, is really, I commend you for that approach, taking a laid back approach, even though you believe in it, because that's the most effective way, brother. So props to you, brother, for taking that approach.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I explain it to everybody.
What value are you to your family trying to convert them if they've disowned you and you've already cut off that relationship? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Plus, they're probably not going to listen to you anyways. They're going to listen to strangers, just like you are going to listen to a stranger over your own family. That's just how it is. It's just normal. But like for me, in my mind, when I'm thinking about the flat earth, even though I shouldn't probably do it this way, I always tell myself, because I'm not the brightest guy, even though I'm a smart man, there's way smarter people out there. So I always think to myself, well, Russian Vids and Santos Bonacci are flat earthers. I'm good. Those guys are geniuses. You know what I mean? It's not going to slip by them. And so I don't feel the need to push it on other people any longer. But brother Steven, I used to do that, brother. I was the opposite of how you handle it. And all I was doing was throwing away my potential with my family. So I really respect the way that you're doing that, man. That's a good message.
No, yeah, I appreciate that. Because to me, it's like,
Hello?
yeah, Joey, I can't hear you. Yeah,
Oh,
Joey.
he's muted himself.
I'm on the mute, brother, because I just wanted to give you a shout out because you know what, I don't hear too many flat earthers saying that approach. I honestly don't. I hear kind of like wearing a badge of honor. Yeah, I told my family and they disowned me, and you know what? Screw that. The truth wins no matter what. Well, really, what is a flat earther in my opinion? A flat earther is somebody who's intelligent and has a governor on, who's able to see things clearly, right? You're not seeing things clearly if your family's disowning you. You're doing something wrong, and you're not going to be effective, right? So I learned that the hard way. But your message, brother, that's a beautiful one. The way that you're so sweet with your family and just kind of let them laugh if they want to, that's the right approach. Because really, you're trying to be effective as a flat earther, right? And the effective person is the one who's patient. So I love that approach. But I'm just muting my microphone so you can speak, brother, because you got some gems to drop, and I'm just commending you on them. That's all.
Well, I appreciate that. Then what I do too is like, because then I think once you start like trying to convert somebody, then it's like a religion.
Someone joining us. We've got Cece joining us.
Hey guys, how you doing? Sorry I'm late.
Hey,
Aloha, brother.
CC, what's happening?
Good, good. How are you?
All right. How about yourself?
No, good, good. I can't complain. We had a meetup down in the city. Times Square was pretty good. Yeah, it went pretty well.
Tell us about it.
Oh, nothing. Well, it was, Dave was down there. He's Flat Earth, 101, and a few other people were down there. We had bulletin boards. I mean, it went pretty good. I mean, we had some good feedback with everybody. And we didn't get a lot of trolls, which was good. We didn't get a lot of people that were fighting us or anything like that, which Just good. Handed out plenty of cards. Did my job.
Anyway, welcome to Sun and Moon, BT.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me in. I appreciate that.
Yeah, in the car.
Yeah. You know, actually, you want to know what's going on? We're in limbo right now. I'm actually in my parents' driveway right now because our house is sold, and they won't let us move into the new place until we give them the check. And we can't get it until we get this check from this guy. It's one big long story, but it's worked out, which is good. I'm going to be in my new place shortly, and thank God. Thank God. Matter of fact, let me put the charger right now.
Not much fun, is it?
Well, it's, moving into a new place, I had no idea was such a pain in the neck. I mean, I thought it would be like something that would be a 1, 2, 3 job, but, we need the money from the old place in order to move into the new place. And that's where the problem comes. If I had the cash, the woman would care less, just like move in right now. Unfortunately, I'm waiting for that money to come in from the other place. But that's just all personal stuff. How's everybody doing?
Doing all right. Thanks for asking.
Good. Excellent.
So, Joey, you know who CC is? Joey and Steve?
Yeah, I watched some CC stuff before. I think he's great. And I've seen some stuff with him and Roxanne, which I thought was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to her a while. I'm getting worried about her. I haven't seen her. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, she's been gone for a week, right? I haven't seen anything posted from her for a week.
Yeah, no, maybe her internet goes down once in a while and then she comes back up. But yeah, no, I've done some stuff with her. She's great.
You need a break from this. She's a warrior. You're a warrior too, brother. She's a warrior, and you know what? I mean, ask Karen. I mean, and all of you guys on this panel, it wears on you. You got to get yourself regenerated. So she's probably doing something healthy to regenerate herself. Hey, everybody listening right now, I think there's 40 people in the chat live right now. If you could, if you're a big fan of Karen's show, like we all are, do us a favor real quick and share this on Facebook or Twitter, whatever you want, whatever your favorite social medias are right now while it's live, so we can get a bigger audience. Okay, guys? So that would be awesome if you could do that for the Sun and Moon family.
Oh, thanks, Jody.
Yeah, no, I've been watching the Sun and Moon. I've been watching Karen for a while now. You're doing a great job. You really are.
We were just talking about before you came on here, brother, about how they skew numbers. They skew everything to make it seem like it's less and stuff like that. But I told Karen, everybody who I know a lot of flat earthers. Like I'm the guy that really will instant message on video and just call up a random flat earther and talk, right? Everybody knows about Karen's show. So they skew numbers because they know that numbers do matter, right? In the mindset of people. So I was telling Karen, just keep on going. It's hitting a lot of people and it's making a big difference. Not like she's gonna stop anyways, but if everyone can share this stuff, let's make it grow even more than they're showing.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So, you know about Joey then, CT? You met Joey Robinson?
I've seen him on a couple of things. And, I mean, he's right. They are suppressing, numbers. They definitely are. I can tell sometimes my subs jump from up and down all the time. I mean, the viewer count doesn't seem right most of the time. I mean, they're definitely suppressing us. Google caught on to us a long time ago. Man, I'm sure they know about it, but I mean, still, we just got to watch out for each other, and, but I know this is getting out to a lot more people than you think, than the views are showing. Absolutely. I agree.
Occasionally I'll go and look at you can go and look at this sort of admin panel. Actually, even when you're having the hangout, you can see it and it tells you how long people are staying, how many people are there, and the whole thing. It's a little bit different than what I'm looking at now, and it will tell me that on average people stay, I don't know, anywhere between 15 and half an hour, and you'll have 100 people there for 3 hours and it renders at like 300. I don't get that. If they're only there for 20 minutes and then you've got this fixed figure for 3 hours, how can it? I just don't get it all. I don't get any of it. But anyway, figures aren't everything together.
It doesn't make any sense at all to me. Even when Roxanne and I did some shows too, we noticed that. Like it would only show a minimal amount of viewers, which was surprising. But yet,
brother, I was
I
watching that here in Hawaii with a bunch. I was watching you guys here in Hawaii with a bunch of people, and I was on Facebook. I was all excited about it. I did a video to tell everyone to watch it. Everybody was liking my page, saying they were watching it. And then I saw the view count like a few days later, and it was like 900. I'm like, no, that's impossible. You know what I mean? And they do that stuff on purpose.
Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely. And you know, if you run for the presidency, I will vote for you. By the way, you got my vote.
Mahalo, brother. I appreciate that.
Hey, that's good, isn't it then?
Yeah.
Joey, you're on your way.
Yeah, well,
there you go.
Right on, right on. Anything I can do for this community because I have a daughter, I'll do anything. I'll put my life on the line. Not that that's going to happen, but you know what I mean? Anything. I'll get a little bit of sleep no matter what. So I'm not doing it for any legacy to say I was a president or nothing like that, if I win or not. I just want to make an impact the best that I can, and I want everybody else to. You know, so thank you for your vote of confidence. That means that you trust in me. But I would take any flat earth truther that I know personally and put them up there. I don't want anybody who I don't know and anybody who's not a truther, because even good-hearted people can make accidental mistakes based on the fears of scientism. You know, so it's got to be a flat earther that gets up to a higher stage, because we can't trust even the good-hearted people. They know not what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I'm a really, I was considered in my family, I still am, considered like the good boy. I was never the black sheep or anything, right? But when 9/11, and I was really ignorant to any truth, but when 9/11 came out, I believed it hook, line, and sinker. And I turned from a good guy, which I still was a good guy, into a racist guy. I hated all the Middle Eastern people, and I was gung-ho to go over there and defend my country. And the only reason I'm sharing that story is because obviously once I learned about 9/11, I changed my mind. But look, a good person with good intentions thinks they're doing the right thing, but they're really believing crisis actors. So, you know, flat earth is so important for so many reasons. You know, nobody can think right because they're being manipulated by media. Until you're a flat earther, you don't have that governor off.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, when 9/11 happened, that was the first thing every New Yorker wanted to do. You know, we have many bodegas around the area around here. They've been open up for about 20 years now. And every single one of them here in Westchester County and other counties were vandalized. You know, and that just goes to show you the general public bought everything that the media laid out. You know, they automatically hated Middle Easterns. They automatically hated the delis. They wanted to go after somebody, and the first place they could think of were the delis around the area. Well, meanwhile, these people had nothing to do with anything that was going on.
Heartbreaking.
And the media is so powerful, you know.
It's heartbreaking.
It's a shame. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I'm interrupting you. I'm just saying that's a shame. It's so heartbreaking. You know what I mean? Because even though people get over it, you know, and realize the truth, those people were still affected. You know, to be hated like that and know it, so what a feeling. And then the problem is that those people who were hated on, those Muslim people that were hated on, well, they're going to retaliate back. And you know what I mean? So the powers that shouldn't be, they know what they're doing. As long as they can create a little bit of hate, even if you catch on, it still made that ripple.
And it did. And yeah, and it always will. And they'll just continue doing what they're doing, and people will, until they wake up, will just feed right into it. You know, I'm for months now. I've been mentioning, you know, we're definitely. Where's the alien invasion? Okay, I know they're doing something. They definitely are. I'm sure, and I'm just waiting along for it, because you know, all flat earthers are going to be the only ones who know that that's going to be complete nonsense and BS. We're going to be the only ones sitting there saying, you know, that's fake up there. That's not real. Move it along. Continue your business. But yeah, no, that's, you know, they're powerful. It's very powerful, and people.
Well, we have a space force, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We have a space force.
Exactly. But that's just the way. That's what they've created, and it's been very good. It took flat Earth for me to wake up to everything, you know, and now you really do.
Brother, if it wasn't for flat Earth, my daughter would have every vaccine known to man. I swear to you, because that was the right thing to do. And I'm a good dad. And I'm a good guy, and I'm going to take advantage of technology and science and she would have been vaccinated for everything. Oh, you know what I mean? It's so sad what they're doing to us. Luckily, I found out about the flat earth, and it took off my governor.
Yeah, and that's important, especially with children, because you know, my daughter is a little older than yours. She's 8, and you know, the first thing that they want to do when they go to the doctor is just pump them up with drugs, and you don't know what the hell they're doing with it. You don't need to be pumped up with every drug if the kid, you know, has a cold. A common cold, you don't need antibiotics for. A common cold is easy to take care of. I know how to cook very well, and I always make chicken soup when she feels sick, and she's fine the next day. You know, so I mean, it's just their answer to everything for children are just antibiotics, and we don't know what's in them. I mean, we're so self-conscious. I mean, I see people in the supermarket looking at the labels behind of everything that they're buying. You know, milk, juice, everything. You know, meanwhile they just allow their kids to go in and get shots up the yin yang for things that we don't know what's inside of this solution at all, or the medication for that matter. And
according
really
to Western science, they don't have a cure for anything anyway. So why should we listen to these fools? You know what I mean? They say they don't have a cure for anything, and they make it illegal to claim such. So why listen to these guys? They don't have a cure for nothing according to their own facts. Then they're rubbish. Go to doctors if you have a broken arm. That's it. That's what I say. That's it. Otherwise,
I agree.
Thing is, our doctors are full of people going because they can't handle a cold. You have to get over the cold. They're an antibiotic.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to fight the cold, haven't you? I mean, if you're really elderly and frail, yeah, okay, but you need a bit of help. But you've got to try and get over these things. And then there's hundreds of people going because they've got a headache, just a headache or something. It's got to get out of that bit.
It's amazing.
The doctors
and there's also, and Karen, there's also a lot of people, I know these people, and I'm sure you guys might too, that pretend they have issues so they can get their prescriptions, because prescriptions are stronger than drugs. You know, people pretend that they have whatever so they can get their oxys. People pretend to have whatever so they can get their Vicodins. You know what I mean? And it's just
I have to go to death's door for you to take me to the doctors. I'm sorry, I hate things.
Yeah.
Before I hated it.
I think a lot of people are selling those too, though. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of they're faking them, and then they're selling them.
They are selling them, brother, for sure. You're absolutely right. It's an income plus they're taking some. It's crazy. Hey, Karen, where's Russian Vid's been? I miss him so much. He's my. I'm not supposed to have favorites, but he's probably my favorite flat earther in the world. Have you talked to him lately?
Yeah, I have. He is just very busy in his own life at the moment.
Tell him I love him.
He was just on. I just saw him somewhere on a live show not too long ago. I think last week.
Yeah, I think he does the odd one, but he's he was on ours and he was on Roxanne's.
Oh, that's right, on Roxanne's. I saw him on Roxanne's.
But he is quite busy in his life right now. Yeah, he's lovely. I love him too.
Yeah, he puts out some great work. Yeah, and in terms of the medical profession, don't get started with these people, you know, because people go in there to get their drugs, you know, and actually one of the doctors over here was just arrested not too long ago. He was selling them out. And, you know, if you looked at this guy's house, you would have never thought that this guy was doing what he was doing. He's a very modest person, and his cars outside are like Jeep Cherokees and regular, you know, inexpensive cars. But he was selling these drugs right out of his house, and people would knock on his door. He was selling the oxycodone and multiple other drugs that people try to get their hands on. And, well, he lost his license. He lost everything. Now, it's a serious thing. It's a serious business. And now people don't realize that. It's a shame. It's really...
But you know what, though? I think there's an older group of people, like my mom. She just passed away a month and a half ago from cancer. Yeah, she was really into her... there was nothing I could tell her. Even my son, my they were like, "Mom, why don't you, you know, smoke some cannabis?" You know, we're trying to tell all that shit, and you know, she's looking at us like we're crazy. You know what I mean? Because when they're old school, they're used to that and they live by that. You know what I mean? So there's like, you know, the younger people are probably more like hip to it, not like, "Hey man, that stuff's not going to work," and they're getting used to it. But older folks, I can't convince anybody born probably in the 40s or beyond that, hey, you should like put those pills away, because it doesn't seem to work. They're just like so used to that that they're not going to change. And then my dad, he has dementia now, and since my mom passed away, I don't know how much longer he has, but he seems to be doing all right at times and stuff like that. And my sister and I, we're like she'll give him one medicine, but after that, but we're like kind of iffy about stuff too. And my son, you know, he's about the, you know, the cannabis culture, love the kid, but he's like, well, you know what? When we went to the doctors, you know, the VA hospital down here in LA, my son had asked the doctors, well, hey, what do you think about like some natural alternative? And they knew exactly what he was talking about. And surprisingly enough, the doctors were like, well, we don't have enough research on that, so we don't really know. They like really didn't want to answer it, but they didn't like straight shoot it down either. And my son thought that was kind of neat that they didn't, because they probably were open to it, but they didn't really want to say anything. But I'm not sure what you can do for like hardcore dementia.
Yeah, there's a lot of that as well, isn't there? And autism and a few horrible things which
Brother,
are here now.
yeah, Brother Stephen, I'll tell you this. It couldn't hurt. You said your father has dementia?
Yeah, he saw like last Halloween. I don't know what he's gonna ask me this time around, but you know, he watches like a lot of World War II stuff and different things. He was so out of it. He wanted me to dress up as Hitler for Halloween. At that point, I knew he was kind of like, you know, I'm like, poor guy.
Give him some cannabis, brother. It couldn't hurt because we have an endocannabinoid system. I'm sure everybody who's watching this knows. If you don't, now you know. It was discovered in the 1990s. Just like we have an immune system, we have an endocannabinoid system with built-in receptors. And it's so important that we need vitamin C to prevent scurvy. We need vitamin D to prevent bone loss and depression. And we need vitamin weed to thrive. So if you give them some, you know what? It couldn't hurt, brother. That's all you know. And give them the CBD. That'll be safer.
Right.
And then,
yeah, she's about to.
Or maybe let them smoke it. Maybe smoking
that's what
might
my son's doing. My son, so we give him a little bit, and he you know, he tried it a couple times. I don't know how long he can hold it or not. Like he holds it and just blows it out. But we're gonna do that because at this point in his life, you know, we're just trying to make him, you know, as comfortable as possible.
Good, brother. Right on. And no more MSG. I'm sure you know that already. You know, just try to cut out the MSG because it's an excitotoxin. It's one of the main reasons that causes the type of dementia and Alzheimer's that people speak of. I forget the doctor's name who came out with this like 20 years ago. But anyways, you know, we know MSG is bad for you, right? But it
right.
creates these called excitotoxins that they've been nicknamed. And so MSG in top ramen packets and sodas and, you know, energy drinks, those things are just destroying our ability to have, you know, what we call remembering something. So that's what it's really destroying is excitotoxins. So keep him away from MSG's type of stuff, and then give him as much cannabis as he can take. The live resin's the best stuff, brother. Get live resin and apply it to his gums. It'll
live resin.
Yeah, the live resin.
Okay, I'm gonna try that out then.
Well, it's funny because each generation has a different opinion about cannabis. You know, your parents' generation, totally against it. You know what I mean? They were ingrained to do that. Generations before that kind of started integrating it into their society. And it's just been up and down. Exactly. I'm sorry?
She said,
unless you were a hippie.
Oh, what's my opinion about cannabis? Hell, we've all dabbled with it. You know, I mean, there's not a single person I know who's never smoked it. You just don't realize that it does have some medical qualities to it. It definitely does. It's not just eyesight. It's not just cataracts. There's so many other different levels of it. I myself, I don't really touch this stuff because I'm fairly healthy. You know, so I don't really need anything. You know, I need to maybe, you know, like everybody shed off a couple of pounds, but that you can just walk around the street. You don't need to go to some gym, you know, and sit in the gym for 3.5 hours a day and they just take a walk. I mean, people don't realize, look, we have 2 feet. Walk around the block a couple of times a day, you know, and there you go. You know, you get yourself healthy.
You are what you eat, brother. In 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
In 3 weeks, you brother, you could lose 50 pounds in 3 weeks and be your high school weight. You went on the raw food diet. Not doing a single push-up. You know what I mean? So yeah, diets are really important. And
right. Well, I will tell you about the cannabis. I will tell you about the cannabis. I took my when I took my son to his first flat Earth meetup. He hung around with the guys. You know, started smoking with him, and he was like, "I love these guys. I'm a flat Earth."
There you go.
He's like, you guys,
Hey,
these guys are,
Stephen, brother,
like,
that's such
these guys are cool.
Hey, Stephen, you know how you were talking about how you're cool with your family and everything? Well, I
Right.
have a Flat Earth clothing store at the Maui Mall, right? It's a kiosk and we sell Flat Earth clothes and stuff. So online, you handle people differently than you do in real life. But I've noticed when I'm cool and I let people joke at me and be like, you know, say whatever comments, and I'm cool with them, and I talk about something that they like smoking weed or something, I swear to you, right away, they're like, really? Hey, maybe the Flat Earth ain't so bad. Shoot, I'm a Flat Earther too. I swear, it's so crazy. But whatever works, right? So planting seeds, if you're a farmer, are you going to shove it into the soil that's hard? Or are you going to plant it correctly? You know what I mean? So you're right, brother. Being cool, even though it sounds funny, is the best approach to converting somebody to Flat Earth. Them thinking you're cool. Crazy as it sounds, huh?
Yeah. Also, because like I said, I think when you try to change them, they become more, then it's like a religion, right? Like you're trying to convert somebody to something. So you just give them little seeds and then let them do the rest.
Your family with you, CC?
Oh, I lost you. You there?
Are they all Flat Earthers, your family and friends, or is it just you on your own? Like, you know,
no, actually, I told my parents, and I made a video actually on it. I told my parents a couple of months ago about it, and I haven't mentioned it to them since. But I mean, it was kind of weird because it's like, you know, my dad almost like knew already. You know, it's like, you know, so that was a kind of weird conversation. But yeah, no, they know I'm Flat Earthers. In terms of my significant other, she's really not quite there yet, but she understands everything that I'm showing her. You know, because you know, I have the camera. We went down to the beach, and you know, she sees that there's no horizon. There's nothing going over anything. You know, you can zoom in on it as far away as you can. You know, beyond your eyesight, you can still zoom in on these things. I mean, there's so many other things, especially the eclipse last year. She was really asking questions about that. You know, with the shadow and moving across the U.S. in the wrong direction when it should be the opposite direction. You know, so she's not quite there yet. She's almost. My daughter, well, look, I put Easter eggs all over the house. Flat Earth maps, cards, and all sorts of stuff. So she definitely knows something's going on. But yet, you know, as all of us, we don't want to be. Well, I don't want to jeopardize her future. You know, with her telling everybody in school that the Earth is flat. So it's a touchy subject. You know, it's something that you have to move along slowly, shall we say, is the best way to explain that.
It is picking up, though, isn't it? Do you feel it's picking up a bit?
I'm waiting for it to come on the mainstream, and not just basketball players saying they believe that the Earth is flat for a day, and then come back and retract everything that they said 2 days ago. I think that's nonsense. You know, really, somebody who is a politician or somebody who's a figure that people you know, really trust, at least in my area. And I know they're risking their jobs, but there are too many people coming out, especially around here. So someone's going to have to say something eventually.
Jim Carrey almost sounds like he's nearly there.
Jim Carrey's got...
He's hinting as good as he can.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a lot of other issues too, but yeah, he definitely is a flat earther. There's no doubt about that. And there's a few other ones that are out there, but they're afraid, of course. It's all about bucks for them. They sold themselves out. It's all about money. Every single Hollywood actor is a sellout. All of them. I don't care who they are. Even Bill Murray, someone I grew up with that I used to watch all the time. Yeah, he's a sellout too. They all are. It's disappointing. Really, it's a shame.
Yeah. I think
What do you think, Steve?
oh, that
did we lose Steve? Oh, there he is. Okay.
no, okay. Yeah, okay. I think that you have to approach it a certain way because sometimes people, if you're going to tell somebody that you agree the Earth is flat, you have to own it. So you can't be like, you know, limpy with it. You know what I mean? It's like if I'm talking to someone, I'm like, if I tell someone the Earth is flat, and they're like, Steve, you think the Earth is flat? You know, just to verify what I said, I'm like, yeah, you didn't know? Like you have to, it's like they have to feel silly for not even knowing that it was already flat. You know what I mean? when you're like, well, yeah, I think it's flat. It's not flat. You know, or I'll say something like, how could you believe the sun is 93 million miles away? That's silly. Because there's a lot of people, even if they believe in the globe, that questions the distance of the sun. Like, there's certain things that even globe people sometimes wonder, like, well, that's impossible. Even if they don't admit it with their friends, they'll be. Cause I've talked to people, and they're like, "Nah, the sun's not 93 million miles away." Like,
right. He says that they don't know that they don't know. A lot of people don't know they don't know.
Yeah, Karen, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, no, they have been told this, and they believe it. It's been ingrained since, just like we were. I mean, you know, when I was there on Sunday, when I was there yesterday, I was trying to put myself into their position. What would my reaction be before I got into flat Earth, walking past this sign, and this guy handing out cards saying that the Earth is flat, you know, and I mean, you know, you kind of get, I mean, you understand where they're coming from, you know, because they're not there yet. All the signs are all around us. I mean, it's just, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, you know where I'm coming with on this. It's crazy how we thought it was.
Like, when I thought the sun was 93 million miles away, it looked like that, but now it doesn't, and it's so much. You know, it's not 93 million miles away, and it looks so much closer. Even just with mine knowing that it is. But I mean, like, it's not 93 million miles away. You look at it and you think, that's 93 million. You look at it now and you think, how could I ever think that?
You know what it is? I think that people, because you want to be, if your authorities or the people that you trust tell you something, you just naturally want to believe it. I think as a child, for me, I always was just like, nah, that's bull crap. And the funny thing about my parents is, like, they never really taught me anything. They taught me, like, values, but I don't know if they really knew that much stuff either. So they were just like, yeah, Steve, just do whatever you want. You know what I mean? They would, like, give me money, go have fun, and they'd take me everywhere. But if I had to do anything academic, I kind of had to learn it on my own. But they never really pushed me on anything. So it was like,
Stephen, it's not your parents' fault. You know, it's not their fault. It's the way everything has been programmed. For everybody, you know, I mean,
our parents and grandparents are the most indoctrinated of all.
Right,
absolutely.
So yes,
I mean, from our research, it looks like the 1960s is when they actually turned us into a ball. I mean, we've been a ball from that day. Maybe they were trying to tell us we were, but we changed in the 60s. Time savings, just the daylight savings, NASA, television. They changed us to oil, petrol. The whole thing happened in the 60s. So it's 60 years. And then what it was is that the information was that there was still a bit on the internet, or was put on the internet, or was around until about the 1990s. And then zoom, nothing. Not until a few years ago.
It was almost like, yeah, I mean, like, I don't, you know, when they went down there, Admiral Byrd and all those guys, they found something down there. I don't know what the hell they found, but it seemed like a lot of things changed after that too. That time, especially with Hollywood, you know, where it just exploded. You know, it's like now we need people to trust and people to look up to, because there's really nobody to look up to anymore. I mean, there's nobody around anymore for kids to idolize. They all have no talent at all. I mean, it really, it's a shame for the generation that are growing up, you know, the generation of our kids that are growing up into this right now, because it's a lot worse now than it was when we were kids, you know. And I've seen it.
I've wondered that myself. Or is it that once you, I'm not saying all the truth yet, because we don't even know what those star thoughts are all about. You know, whatever they are, they're not thoughts, but they're whatever they were. They're like, it could be hundreds of years old. Anyway, it's the fact that we know how bad it is. It looks so ugly. Do you think that's
You're right. You're absolutely right. And I've thought about that too myself, because I've looked back at stuff that I grew up with in the 70s and in the 80s, and they didn't have that. They didn't really have many of those signs that you see now with especially the female singers, the younger female singers are really, I mean, I don't know what cult they're with. I have no idea how any of that stuff works. I've heard about it. I've read it, you know, whatever it may be. But I mean, you can tell that they're definitely programming all of their listeners to believe into this witchcraft, into this nonsense that they're feeding our children. I mean, look at them dancing around. I mean, we never really, I don't remember that, doing that when I was a kid, dancing around like I was on, dance tracks or something like that. I mean, it really is like involving all of their emotions, all of their thoughts. It's brainwashing them. It really is. And that's with all the musicians, right? And they have no talent either, by the way. Have you heard any of them sing? They suck. No. They're horrible.
It's funny. I agree with you. I had this conversation with my son. He'll be 17 next month about music. And I was just telling him how, like, when I was in high school in the 80s, it didn't matter what music you listened to, everything was good. You could listen to everything from Van Halen to Sade to Run DMC, to wherever, and it could be so many genres of music. The out here in the States anyway, we had the nice British Invasion with like Wham and all these other cool groups, right? But everything was good. You know what I mean?
Wham was big over here too. Yeah.
Yeah, everything was great, and now it's like you have this like 6ix9ine rapper, and you have this person, that person, and they all sound the same. You can't hear half the stuff. And it's not that I'm too old to not enjoy the music. It's just not good, because my kids will listen to Tupac and Biggie, and appreciate that more than they will anything that's out right now. But that just tells you that it's the music. It's not necessarily that we're getting older. It's just the music isn't good. I think if somebody came out that was good, we would appreciate it. Doesn't have to do with the age or anything at all.
Yeah, Gnarls Barkley actually. When I listen to him, he has a really good voice. There are very few of them that genuinely have a good voice. Especially now, it's all digitized. So when they go in a concert, they sound horrible. And the only reason why I know is because my daughter listens to some of this stuff, and it's like poison to the ears. When I listen to these young singers sing now, it's like, oh my God, you can tell that they were definitely placed in that situation to indoctrinate a generation of people, and they are definitely sellouts with all the signs, the tattoos, what they've done to their bodies. Oh God, it's sickening. It really is. It's awful.
Hey, let me ask you a question real quick then. So I guess everybody on the panel, because you were mentioning the signs. I don't like believe in all that stuff in a sense. I know what they mean, and I can understand if there's a group of people that use symbolism and stuff like that, but I don't believe in that. Do you know what I mean? I don't well, I'm not really religious, so when I see people talk about the symbols and they talk about 666 and this, that, and stuff like that, it doesn't really bother me as it does some people, just because I don't think any of it's true.
I didn't either, at all. And if Stephen, the best way to look at it, get some old movies we used to watch back in the 70s and the 80s, and you will see them in the movie. It's almost like this cult has to, they're hiding it from us, but yet they're showing it to us. And if you look at some of the movies, like, for example, Back to the Future, you see the buildings 9/11 right in the background on movie 1. That's a good one. I mean, I've seen it in Jaws. I've seen it in movies go all the way back to like the early 70s too. And they have these little Easter eggs in all of these movies. And they're there to I'm not even going to say mock you. It's like they're almost their religion or whatever it is that they have. Whether Freemasons or anything like that, which I originally I never believed in anyway. But whatever they're part of, they are almost obligated to show the public really what's going on. And it's there. If you look, it's definitely there. You can most definitely see it. And you see it in a lot of musicians.
Let me just put my 2 cents in there, because I agree with you, about that maybe they have to or whatever, because they do it, right? But here's my kind of theory on it. In carpentry, how before you drill a hole for a screw, you have to drill what's called a pilot hole. Makes it go in there without cracking everything up, and it keeps it stern. Yeah. I think they're doing a pilot on us. So they have to show us this. And then when it does happen, it's not so shocking, and we can kind of take it in. That's kind of what my theory is on it, of why they do it. But why do they do it?
I agree.
Maybe in the laws of morality, there's legalities. and maybe they have to. Just like how NASA lies and we see their own proofs. But I do think this. I think it's a little over exaggerated in my opinion how everybody's doing these signs, because me myself, I get accused of doing it when I go like this, and I'm doing it unintentionally. But I think the powers that shouldn't be, they know what they're doing with those signs.
Right. So yes. So if you were doing that, Joey, I don't think somebody should say, "Oh, Joey's a shield," because he's putting his fingers up.
That's where I'm going with it, brother. Where I'm on your same page, and it's like, come on, man. We know that they're doing it. Let's stop it. Like if we go like this, the Earth's flat. And like, oh, that's a Mason sign. Well, I'm taking it over. Okay, you know what I mean? Hey, Steven, you're a jiu-jitsu guy, yeah?
You know what? Yeah, I love jiu-jitsu. Back in the day, I started with it, and then I didn't do it for a while. Now my kids are doing it, but I still enjoy it.
Beautiful modality, brother. Beautiful. Glad you got your.
That's tough to do. That's not easy.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, and what I learned when I first got into jiu-jitsu was it's such it's a respect. I don't do a lot of different martial arts, so I'm sure they're all the same way. But I thought I was gonna come out of there being like more machismo, but actually it's a very respectful thing, and it reminds me a lot, the reason why I bring it up, of the flat earth, because no matter who you think you are, the skill set's gonna win. Just like in the flat earth movement, no matter what, wherever your level is, the truth, whoa, it really does set you free. The way I used to think compared to now, I don't even think I'm the same person anymore. I just look the same.
You're right. I mean, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and there's a good group of people in that community too, the jiu-jitsu community. They're fantastic, and they're really open-minded, and they're real chill. What I think what happened, like when we talked about the symbols and different things, I think there was a group of people that hundreds or thousands of years ago that came up with this stuff, and because they have a head start on us, they control everything. But I really think they're all stupid. They don't know any more than anybody else. They just control the narrative and the information that comes out to us. But I don't think these people are like, whether it's, these people are any smarter than anyone else.
Well, they want to, for sure, they want to appear much smarter, much stronger, much more, impenetrable than they are. Of course, they want to appear that way. But, those signs that they were holding, whatever that was, I mean, Russian Vids breaks it down really good. Yeah, they were using that. But I think we get carried away when we accuse everyone of doing it and we throw out the baby with the bathwater. So it's like the elite, yes, they are doing it, but it's kind of like, what do we do with that now? Let's just forget it. Let's just move on and keep on promoting the truth, because as Stephen was saying, a lot of people in the flat earth community end up accusing each other of being shills, and that works against us. Because there's no such thing as a shill in the community, I think.
No, there isn't. And I'm sorry, Steve.
Oh, no problem. No, I was just saying, I think the whole term is like played out.
It is, and I don't even really see it anymore.
Ad hominem comment. It's an ad hominem. An ad hominem comment is used by unintelligent people to discredit the person instead of their argument. So what is a shill? A shill is cooties. What is a shill? Of the scarlet letter. You know what I mean? That's all it is. And Eric Dubai, I love him. God bless him. He's the one that basically coined that term. And so we got to stop saying words like shill. We got to say heroes, because that's what we all are.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. Sorry.
So carry on, CC. You go. CC, your turn.
No, please. I haven't heard from you in a while. Please say what you need to say, Karen. Absolutely.
I can't even remember now. It's just that we've got to just learn to get on. We've been in a place where we all hate each other. That's how they've liked it. That's how they've sort of bred us to hate everyone one way or another in this sort of narcissist society. And we've got to learn to get over it. We don't know anything for sure, except we're not moving and we are a flat plane. And the rest, we should come together and worry about someone else is going to have to probably prove it more. Like people like Dave Marsh and all that. Yeah, we're all doing our bit, especially people like him and Stan and Joe Hill, and the list goes on. But we can't, we need a NASA thing on our side right now. And then anyway, will we believe it?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, we all, for some reason or another, we have little pockets, little communities that are together, and they don't seem to want to open up to anybody else, you know. And yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, when I first got into this a couple of years ago, I didn't really realize what was going on. It took a while for me to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, they're little pockets. They're always fighting with each other. And all of them have good work. You know, they're all putting a lot of stuff into it. And, you know, if you get two of those people together that really have big channels, you know, it's endless where it could go from there. But they don't seem to want to do that. I myself, I team up with everybody.
That's because people aren't used to doing things together. They've got to do it all on their own. Well, that's not a flat earth thing, is it? Flat earth's about doing this together. We're waking up together.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
want to win. That's the goal. How do you win any war? You unite. Even if you don't agree with everything someone's saying, you unite for the greater cause. There's pedophiles in Hollywood. You know, there's no stronger reason for us to unite as one. So the people who are fighting within these different cliques, they need to get it and say, oh my God, we got to win. You know, it's not about subscriptions. It's not about, you know, all that other stuff. But, you know, it's actually happening. It used to happen. It wasn't happening in the past. There used to be a lot of cliques. Now those are very few and far between, and nobody goes to their channels hardly anymore. So that's the good news. We're all, I mean, look at this show.
Yeah, flat earth is all about waking up to yourself, right? And so there's a big part of you in it. But once you understand who you are, then hopefully you move on to the whole. And that's what it's about. It's not about just you. It's about everyone. That's what I don't understand. People don't get that.
I want to make a quick comment too. I wanted to say this earlier, but somebody else was talking. But you know, of the oh yeah, it was you, brother C. You were saying something about the celebrities. But I've been thinking this for a while. Think about it, of the flat earth celebrities that we do have. You know, there's probably about 20 or 30 of them, not that many, right? But think about every single flat earth celebrity that we do have. They're the cream of the crop. Like Eddie Bravo, for example, he's a flat earther, right? He's the #1 Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy in the whole world, even better than the Gracie families. He's a genius, and he's a flat earther. Kyrie Irving, he's considered the best ball handler the world's ever seen, even in the past. Flat earther. Look at David Avocado Wolf. He's considered the most intelligent health guru ever. Flat earther. You go down the line and it makes you think, wait a minute, so do you have to be a genius to become a flat earther? Because they're a representative of us. You know what I mean? So maybe the placebo effect is taking place here, where 90% of people can get tricked by a sugar pill, but the 10% of us. So I put myself in their category and all of us in their category. We must be geniuses on a level to be able to have comprehended this information and stood up, because every flat earther who's a celebrity, they're geniuses. You know, name me one that's not. Even Cron Gracie. You know Cron Gracie, right, Stephen?
Yeah.
Cron Gracie's a flat earther too. These guys are the upper echelon. You know what I mean? So it gives a lot of confidence to know that, look, the first 2 tiers are all the geniuses coming out, represented by, you know, the celebrity flat earthers. That's all I wanted to say, is that all of the celebrity flat earthers, I was looking into it and I'm like, wow, they're all the very, very considered very top of whatever they're in. That's amazing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, for us to absorb this information and accept it and not completely throw it out the window and just make fun of it, you know, and to go after channels that are actually trying to prove the truth takes intelligence beyond, you know, most people, I guess. And that's why I just haven't been able to figure out how I can break it, you know, and you can't. You know, people have to figure this out themselves. You can't talk somebody into flat earth. Maybe you can. I can't.
A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still.
Right.
You're doing it the right way with your family, being gentle. So is Stephen. I am now, but I used to be, you know, abrupt about it. But you can't, brother. You just have to keep on doing what you're doing and convincing strangers. And then by proxy, all these strangers eventually we're going to be woken up. Look at 9/11, you know, 10 years ago. You mentioned 9/11 10 years ago, you were going to get in a fist fight with somebody who said you're unpatriotic. Now everyone knows. You know, my grandma knows. Isn't that cool? My grandma knows about 9/11. She's like, yeah, I saw Bush do that whisper and I knew something was wrong. You know what I mean? So we got to give it a little more time and keep on beating on the belly of the beast, and we'll get there pretty soon.
Right. I think
Yeah,
what
you have
it
an
is too
excellent
is
way of looking at it.
yeah, people are emotionally involved with the globe, and I think that when they're really emotionally involved with it, the education system as well, and things like that, the movie industry, they feel that wow, there goes my Star Wars, there goes my Star Trek, there goes all this, and so I think that I still think the stuff was cool, even though I don't believe it. And even when I liked it, I never believed it anyway. I just thought it was all fantasy, right? And some people take that at heart and they want so bad for those things to be real that when you say the earth is flat, that destroys their whole life.
Yeah, no, everything's gone. Star Wars, all of it, it's gone. And I went through it too. I was a big Trekkie, you know. I mean, I love watching it. And I still have it on from time to time, but now you see right through it. There you go. You know, I mean, there you go. It's there, and it's all gone. All the fantasy's gone. It's all fantasy. It's all cartoon land as far as I'm concerned. They created this, and I bought it for a long time. A good portion of my life, I bought it all the way up until I was about 40 years old.
Hey, I bought Ancient Aliens, brother. I bought Ancient Aliens. I totally did. You know, it makes perfect sense to me. I wanted to believe it, I guess, just like everyone else.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing how everything gets changed. But you know, now that you know everybody's woken up on it, there is no Hollywood anymore. There's nothing anymore for us. You know, and music's gone, movies are gone. You know, I mean, now we get to enjoy our lives.
That's the crazy part. You know what I mean? We call it Hollywood. It's not filmed in Hollywood. No, that's
no, it's not.
So everything's
none of it. Yeah,
oh no! Wait,
I mean,
no. Space may be a final frontier, but it's filmed in a Hollywood basement. Remember?
That's right.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, brother, it's so amazing. I mean, but what Karen was talking about earlier, she was asking, do you think it's growing? It is growing. Statistically, it's growing. If you go to Google Flat Earth searches, I've been doing this since I first started in the Flat Earth community, and I would go to Google Flat Earth searches because a smart friend of mine told me that's an accurate way to kind of get a check on how many people are at least researching it. Doesn't mean they're a flat earther, but how many people are researching it. In 2015, you got about 20 million people, which I thought was a lot. In 2016, you had about 30 or 40 million people. And I was like, whoa, this is it. We're going to win it, right? Well, fast forward all the way to 2018. This year, you can Google search it right now. Just Google search, type in flat earth. 500+ million people searching flat earth. So we're winning. You know, the Boston Celtics are a flat earth basketball team. The contestant of, what is that show called where people try to marry each other? The Bachelorette. He's a flat earther.
Oh yeah, Bachelorette.
You know, and so yeah, we're winning, and I think that it's going to happen really soon. But you know, who knows what their plans are? Who knows what their plans are? They're putting up 5G towers all over the place. They just put one up. We have a sugarcane facility over here that's been in Maui for 30 years. And they were going to take it down and build up a medical hemp place, right? They're growing hemp and everything. So we all got excited about it. Well, guess what they turned them into? 5G towers. I took pictures of it and posted it on my Facebook. You know, so what are they up to? Maybe all this information that they're allowing us to have, maybe they figure, well, who cares? We got them with this 5G. I don't know.
Have you ever taken a look at some of these towers? I mean, you got some stuff on those towers that
crazy
don't look like anything I've ever seen before. I mean, they look like some kind of futuristic James Bond, you know,
brother,
Star
they are
stuff.
So intense. They've got, you know, and the way that 5G works, I'm sure everybody knows how it works on the millimeter wavelength. So it bypasses your subconscious even. So what are all these? And the thing is, they're coordinating radio waves with sound waves, with drum waves, with millimeter waves. I mean, what are they doing? They're gonna maybe, who knows what they're doing? But it's some scary stuff, that's for sure.
Or something.
What's that?
Maybe surveillance. You know, they're gonna be listening on everybody.
For sure,
I mean, they do that they do it anyway. They've been doing it for years, but I think it's just probably a more a better quality type of surveillance.
If you go on the internet, you'll see what I'm talking about, and I actually got to see a couple of them. Unfortunately, it was on the train. I took the train down to Manhattan the other day. They had these weird boxes set up in the Holland Tunnel all the major tunnels in the city, they're right before the entrance. And they're just like these black rectangular boxes with weird stuff coming out of it. People have called up and asked them about it, and it's like, oh, it's surveillance since 9/11 because we're tracking terrorists. Come on, I mean, you know, that's all a crock of shit. I mean, really, I mean, get real. It's total lies with that. And if you really look at these things, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're planning on doing with these, but it certainly doesn't look good.
It ain't no good, that's for sure. They have crisis actors. That's what won me over. I learned about crisis actors after Flat Earth. And when I realized and I was actually convinced that there are such things as crisis actors, I was like, wow, there really is a war against us.
Right. Hey, but you gotta watch out, because I'll tell you something. At my son's high school, towards the end of the school year last year, there was a shooting at his high school, and I posted it on Facebook, and then everybody was like, okay, here goes another fake shooting. Now something did happen at my kid's school, but it wasn't, you know, obviously it wasn't as serious as these ones that you see on the news. In the town that I live in, everybody knew about it, but it wasn't like a worldwide thing. So I think that when you jump to conclusions sometime, that can, you know, kind of make people kind of like, you know, I don't know if everything's
you know what,
all the
Stephen?
time.
Stephen, you know what though, brother? You're absolutely right about that, but they almost trick us into doing that because there's so many false flags that, you know, who really wants to look into every single one? So you're right, but they trick us into it because we're just like, it's fake, you know, it's fake.
Yeah,
they're all fake. And it's who has the energy to look into all that stuff? It's, you know, it's so hard.
Right. So it's true. It was funny because I was at a,
can I just say that Suzanne Borho has joined us? Suzanne.
Hello, beautiful.
Hello, Suzanne. How are you?
Doing?
The Flat Earth women are
Hi,
so beautiful. I love the Flat Earth women. It's just like, remember how we were talking about how all the Flat Earth people are such geniuses? All the Flat Earth girls are so beautiful. It's just, you know,
yeah, it really is. I've met a couple of them.
No, she's the one that wrote the book. I actually saw it at the last Flat Earth meetup. You know, Dave had the book with him. So that's a beautiful little book. He had the book there.
Yay! You got to see it. Wonderful. Thank you, Joey. I'm glad you like it.
Thank you, Suzanne.
I'm sorry, Karen?
Steve knows who you are.
Yeah.
Wow. My book's getting out there. That's great.
There you go.
Do you want to explain where you're coming from, where you're living? Because obviously it's very early for you, isn't it?
Oh, it's not too early. It's 6:45 or 20 to 7 a.m. here in South Korea. I'm an English teacher over here.
South Korea. Okay, all right. We got everybody from all over the place. This is terrific. From New York.
There you go. Well, 안녕하세요.
And
where are you, Cece?
New York, Westchester County.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, I'm from Florida originally. Well, North Dakota originally, but I say I'm from Florida because that's where I spent most of my growing up years, I guess.
Yeah, and
I pretty much grew up here.
Just in case Cece doesn't know what you've done, explain what you've just published.
So it's not a big deal, but I published a children's book, a Flat Earth children's book. It's called Granny Knows the Earth is Round and Flat.
Terrific. How do I get a copy of that? Tell us.
Well, it's on Amazon and it's also on Lulu. You just type in the title and it'll come up. Granny Knows the Earth is Round and Flat. Actually, if you just type in Granny Knows, it'll probably come up.
Another Easter egg that'll be placed somewhere strategically in my area. So my daughter accidentally finds it.
Yeah, I've got a nice copy of my own.
Oh, and I got mine. I just got it yesterday, actually.
Oh, terrific. That is beautiful. I love it. That is excellent. Yeah, I'm definitely getting a copy of that. That's going to make a nice coffee table talk right there. Beautiful.
Oh, do you want to put it up again, Suzanne? Suzanne, put your book up again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the hardback, I I prefer the hardback, and that's only available on Lulu. And then on Amazon, you get this, which is the soft cover. I haven't received my hardback yet. I'm sorry, Stephen, did you say something?
Yeah, did you say they have a Kindle version too, or no?
I don't. I haven't set up a Kindle version. Okay. Yeah, I thought I just didn't know if people would be interested in a Kindle version of a children's book, but I can do that.
They should try it. Definitely, Kindle seems really big. I mean, everybody I know has a Kindle, and they're always looking through it. I think it's kind of taken the personality out of the book itself, you know, with Kindle, because you're not getting that feeling of a book in there. But some people like it. You know.
That's true. Yeah, when you're traveling, it's nice to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the kids can read it on the plane.
I'm sorry. I think there's a delay.
Yeah, the kids will have it with them all the time. You know, the parents give their kids their tablets all the time, and they can just always read it.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Yeah. Especially here in South Korea, all kids have a tablet or a smartphone. Even from really young, like 5-year-old kids are walking around with their smartphones. It's sad. Yeah. It's terrible.
They're doing it here too. I mean, it's horrible. I walk into, you know, some of these toy stores and I see, I mean, up to 3 years old walking around with a tablet. I mean, you know, come on, man. We don't know what is going on with this technology. We don't know if it's safe for young children. I mean, their skeletal structures have not developed, you know, completely, especially up in their you know, in their skull area. I don't really know. Yeah, it's not something that I would give a 3-year-old to sit there and talk on the phone. You know, but the thing is the powers to be have not given us any choice. They've given us no children's phones. You know, they've given us nothing but smartphones. You either have a smartphone or you're not cool. That's how it is, and that's how every kid is now growing up. You know, and that's a shame. It really, it's horrible. They used to have little phones. They have grandma phones. Those are the phones, the big ones that have, you know, these big buttons on them and stuff like that. But they have nothing. They have offered nothing for children that are safe, protective, with an extra coating on there to prevent the radiation on it. Nothing at all that I've seen.
Yeah. Well, and they don't offer. Yeah, I was looking at protective coverings and stickers and pads the other day, actually, and I definitely need to get something, because when I'm at the computer, and I spend a lot of time at the computer, as most people do, I guess, and I can feel it. I mean, like, if I rest my hand on the mouse for an extended period of time, I feel tingling in my fingers, in my arm, and my phone. If I hold my phone or if I'm too close to it, I can feel it. And so I need something, because tell me it doesn't give you a headache if you talk on that phone for a long period of time. It gives me a headache, and it gets very warm, very warm. Oh yeah.
To a point, sometimes you can't even. You got to put it down. So I don't really know what's going on with this technology and what they're up to.
Do you use a hands-free device, or do you use speakerphone most of the time?
Well, I have mine hooked up to the Bluetooth in the car, so I never touch it in the car. But you know, when I'm out, those Bluetooth things on the ears are just as bad. They get hot, and plus you have to worry about charging them, and it's another thing that you have to deal with. And they're so easy to lose, so I never really got one.
Hey, just to say as well, I think it's for you, really, Suzanne. D Marble's in the chat room. He said he met you.
Oh. Hi, D Marble. Yeah, I met him here in South Korea when he was here giving his presentation at the International Flat Earth Conference in Korea. When was that? That was last April, maybe? Hi, D Marble. I'll give you the floor.
Hey, Dean Marble. Do excellent work.
Is he actually in? Oh.
Yeah, he's in the chat room. He's not on the panel. He's in the chat room.
Oh, he's in the chat room? Oh, great. Okay.
Oh, yeah. He's not on the panel. Okay. Anyway, yeah. I got to meet him, and he's a super nice guy.
Yeah, he seems it. Definitely seems it. Man. I'd like to meet him one day. I'd like to meet all these guys once. When.
Me too. I'd love to go to another Flat Earth conference in America. I mean, the one in Korea was cool, but everyone was Korean except for D. Marble and the other two American presenters. Yeah. Who else was there? Nathan. Oh, geez. Nathan Thompson?
Thompson. Yeah.
Okay. And, I'm terrible with names. Geez. He has the Facebook group Awakening Information. I'm drawing a blank.
Not sure.
Oh, what was it? Guy? Something? No.
No. Oh, man. Sorry, it'll come to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it is. I'm not sure who you're talking about.
I know who you're talking about.
Clark.
You just again, because I don't know.
With her book, didn't you, Suzanne? Just when you were publishing it.
I'm sorry?
You had a bit of a problem with your book, didn't you? As you were publishing it and had to change things.
Yeah. So I took a vacation to Bali for 1 month, but shortly before leaving for Bali, I guess I had published my book originally with illustrations done by a very nice Kenyan guy whom I've never met, but and he did a great job. But the little girl in the book looked a little bit too much like Agnes in Despicable Me. And so I uploaded it to Lulu and I got the link sent out and I was so excited. Like, yay, my Flat Earth book is finished. And it was the first Flat Earth book out there for children at the time before Dubé put his out. And I was excited, not because I was the first one, but just it was a big accomplishment for me. And I had spent a lot of time and energy. Anyway, so I got it out and yay. And Karen contacted me and Patricia Steer. And then I went to bed. And when I woke up the very next day, I had an email from Lulu saying my account had been closed and my book had been removed because of copyright issues. And I was, what? You gotta be flipping kidding me. So I
go on holiday.
Well, this was maybe a week or two before I left. But talk about a kick in the pants. And so I made a screenshot of the letter I got from Lulu and I sent it to Mark Sargent and to David Weiss. And I said, do you think I have any recourse? What do you think this could be about? And Mark Sargent got right back to me, said, yeah, as soon as I saw your illustration, I was pretty sure you'd have an issue because your little girl looks just like Agnes in Despicable Me. Well, you know, Mark Sargent, he knows all movies out there. And I just didn't think it looked that similar, but I guess it did. So I lost my Lulu account and my book was removed. And I contacted my friend who was friends with the illustrator, told him what happened, and he was distraught as well. And so the illustrator... well, he works a full-time job. I mean, he just does illustrations on the side. And he didn't have time to redo the illustrations. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I put it out there on several Facebook groups. I told him what happened. And of course, I had to tell everyone what happened because I didn't want people going there looking for my book and it wasn't there. And so several artists in the Flat Earth community contacted me and offered their services for free or for very little. And that was very heartwarming. But in the end, my Kenyan friend, sorry, I apologize. He said, you know, there's a carver in my town, and I think he could just change the hairstyle. And then my other friend, he can Photoshop all of the images. So he had the carver change the hair on the little girl because that was the issue. You know, Agnes, I don't know if you do know, but Agnes in Despicable Me, she has a very distinct hairstyle. It's straight up in a ponytail. And so Mark Sargent said, I think if you just change the hair, then you should be okay. So I was like, okay. So the carver in this village in Kenya, he changed the hair on all of my illustrations. There were about 20. And then my friend, he colored again. And then he took the images to another guy, Abaneri, who photoshopped all of them and replaced just the little girl in all of the images. I'm terrible at Photoshop. I can't do squat in Photoshop. And I need to correct this. I need to study Photoshop because it's a great skill to have. But I don't have it at this time. Anyway, long story long. Finally, my illustrations were ready to go. And thanks to 3 people in Kenya. And I got them all replaced in my Word file, converted to PDF, and re-upload. I opened a new Lulu account. Thankfully, they allowed it. And then I also put it on, I used CreateSpace to get it onto Amazon. So that's my story. Sorry, well, it's very long-winded.
Yeah, it's okay. I asked you, didn't I? I just say
yeah.
That D-Marble put in Clark Bernard.
I'm sorry, Karen?
Clark Bernard.
Clark Bernard, that's right. Thank you. Yes, another super nice guy. And he has a really great Facebook page called Awakening Information. Actually, that was his very first presentation at the South Korean International Flat Earth Conference, and he did a bang-up job. I can't imagine how nervous he must have been. I could never speak in front of all those people.
Hey, just to explain who's on here, we've got Steve, if you don't know Steve Harris, you know who's on the Hangout. There's a bit of feedback going on here. You've got something open.
Me?
You're not wearing your headphones, are you?
No. Actually, I don't even have headphones anymore. I bought a new microphone.
So it's just echo.
I don't have should I mute myself?
No, that's okay. I was talking to you, but it was just echoing a bit back. So don't worry about it. Anyway,
okay.
It's great. So very pleased about that. And anyway, Suzanne said where you can get the book from. So that's really great. And you've had a nice holiday, Suzanne.
I did, yeah. Bali's beautiful. The weather's perfect year round. Of course, I've only been there this one time, but I looked it up online, and yeah, the temperature ranges from like 79 to 83 all year round, which is, I guess, similar to San Diego in the US. Really nice. The people were very nice, and the food delicious. Yeah, I had a nice break. Thank you.
Hey. So before Suzanne joined us, what was the subject that we were getting into, by the way? Because obviously you've talked about your book, which is really great, and we'll talk a bit more later on. But what was the subject, guys, that we were talking about? They're all muted. Muted. Come back.
Yeah, I think we're talking about all kinds of things, and maybe people's how their belief in the globe, you know. I remember we were talking about the globe and talking about how people, it's their whole life, and how that maybe and their views on science fiction and all kinds of different things. Like if you destroy the globe, you destroy their whole reality and things. I remember we were talking about that.
What about the psychology of it too, brother? To where, you know, in our psyche or whatever we call that subconscious thought of ours, what if they realize also, well, if the Earth is flat and all those implications are true, I got to do something about it. I can't sit on the fence. I don't feel like doing that. Maybe that fear is deep rooted too. You know, that's what I think occurs.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yes, I would too. Absolutely. I mean, there is some sort of factor of fear. I mean, when I first started making videos, I didn't care how many people were looking at me. I always had that paranoid feeling that, you know, someone's going to stalk me down or something like that, or for all of us, for that matter. I was like, God, these guys are nuts. They've been doing it for almost a year and a half now, you know. There's got to be something to it, but you got to get out to people. It doesn't make a difference. Look, they've given us this technology. You know, I've said this a million times. Use it. Use it to reach out to as many people as you can, get phone numbers, talk to people. Unfortunately, I have no way of contacting people from the UK or in any other country. I'm limited to the US. That's it, you know. But, you know, just try to get into contact with everybody you can while we have this, because I don't know how much longer they're going to let us do this. I really don't. I mean, they're taking channels down. Yeah, they're taking channels down left and right. You know, for what? For stupid reasons, too, which I never understood. Apparently,
regardless of what they think about Alex Jones, whether they think he's a shill or whatever, look, it's either an example that they're going to start taking us down, or they took down somebody who really was legitimate, however we look at it. But they have the ability to do it. So we got to act now and not wait for these other people that are doing videos to do it. We all have the ability to go to Facebook or YouTube and just click go live. And that's what's going to make the impact. Be like Nike, just do it for our children's future and for our future. Just like the book that Suzanne wrote, you know what I mean? She did it now. She didn't wait to do it because there might not be tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked, Suzanne, they even let that out. You didn't get anybody at all that called you and said, we're not going to allow this book to be published. I'm shocked that they would let something like that in the mainstream out and being published that has anything to do with Flat Earth. You know, I figured it would have gotten, you know, somehow or another flagged, but I guess it got through. That's excellent. Congratulations. I'm going to be picking one up for myself. So you definitely got one purchased over here in New York. No doubt. Be right on the coffee table for everyone to see.
Awesome.
Suzanne, can you show a cover of your book just so I can see what it looks like? Hold on 1 second, okay? Hey, hold it up there for just a second. I'm gonna screenshot it so I can share it.
Yeah, definitely, because I can't really see it that well. Oh yeah, here we go. I got it. Oh, excellent. All right, Grandma's flat.
Is that okay?
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job. Good job.
Thank
you know what?
you.
That's gonna affect so many people. You're gonna plant so many seeds with that, and you know that's. I think I'm a biblical guy. I think that all of us that are awoken, we're chosen to be awoken, and we're doing our calling, and that's our calling is whatever our gifts are to bring them out. Some people do it with music. Some people do it like Russian Bids with his mind, you know, and his voice. Everyone's doing it their different ways. So we're networking together, but just like Brother C was saying, we gotta do it. You know,
absolutely, I agree.
Message to everybody. Go live right now, right after this show. Go live and say, look, I think 9/11 was an inside job. And just start saying these things because it's a numbers game. And once they realize, hey, everybody's talking about this, then it can be a subject that we can legitimately do something about. Because really, what are we talking about Flat Earth for? Because we want everyone to believe the Earth is flat? No, it doesn't make a difference. What makes the difference is that the implications behind it. You know, the fact that we've been oppressed in every way you can possibly think of, including our air and our water. So we got to get out there and get our voices heard and beat on the belly of the beast. And it'll give confidence to other people too. Like, for example, Karen's show, they see her doing it. I've seen it hundreds of times already. People emulate her show and they go, well, some people don't like Karen's show and they go, I can do a better job. Some people say, oh, she does a really good job. I want to do it too, but I want to focus more on this or focus more on that. And people see what you're doing and then they feel inspired by it. Other people are going to start writing more kids' books now because that fear factor of, oh no, what if they wouldn't let it out? Well, you just proved that they will. So it's a confidence booster for us to all come out and show our faces. Who cares what your hair looks like? Who cares what your makeup looks like? It's our soul, you know?
Yeah. Amen.
Do you think your book, that book that you have, you can probably get it at the maybe at the next conference or something? Maybe that would be something that they would have a lot there, just as a way of getting it out to people. I'm thinking if you had maybe if you had them at maybe a few conferences, maybe even if you couldn't make it there, because I know you're
in South Korea,
some display on your behalf, that would be fantastic. Because I know there's a few conferences going on.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Every place should make a box of them and mail it right out to the guys who are putting together the conference, and people will buy it. Absolutely.
Maybe I should send a whole box of them to Mark Sargent and ask him to take them to the conference.
Sure, he may just do that. You never know.
Oh, he'll absolutely bring them over. Yeah, no, I'm sure he'll bring them over. Absolutely, with everything and any conferences that are over here.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Are you going to be able to attend the Denver conference?
I'm trying to. I don't think I'm in the midst of buying a 2-bedroom place right now, so it's just become so much money. Westchester County, I think, is we're number one, guys. Who's ever listening from Westchester, you congratulate your politician for making the highest taxes in the entire country. Good job.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we're the highest. Surpassed Santa Barbara, Hawaii, everywhere. We're the highest in the entire country. It's amazing. Beautiful.
That's terrible. Oh. So why are you staying there?
My family's here. Her family's here. My daughter's got her roots here. We really, unfortunately, we don't have any choice. But I will see when she gets older and she's out of that, because her school only goes up to 8th grade. So when she gets to that, we have to make a decision of where we're going to go, and we'll see where our situation is with our family and everything like that. But everybody's moving out of this county. I mean, the only people that live here now are people that commute back and forth to the city, and it's just become very expensive here. But that's what they want. They want to turn it into this, whatever oasis, I guess. That's good. Have it. I don't want it anymore. There's nothing here anyway. Everything I like to do, I got to travel an hour to go do fish, go to the beach, and it's all an hour away from here. It makes no sense. It's just the schools that you have to pay for, I guess. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's a shame.
No, unfortunately, I'd like to go. I'm going to try to go. Chances are, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. Down in a couple of months, maybe. But if I do go, I'll contact you, and I'll personally bring them over for you. No problem. They can ship them over here. That's fine with me.
If you don't mind me asking, how many do you have printed out right now?
Well, they just print as they're ordered, because the one on Amazon, it's through CreateSpace. So when someone places an order, they just print it and ship it out. But I mean, it's super fast. Like, I'm here in Korea and I ordered my 5 copies from CreateSpace. Maybe, the same time I ordered Karen's. And so that was, I don't know, it got here in like a week. So, I mean, they print them out and ship them out quickly. Yeah.
That was my main issue. I mean, my main reason for asking you if you had a Kindle version in the first place, just because I know the cost would probably be cheaper. You know what I mean? I know when you're independent, it's kind of hard, but in a digital way, it's just like with music, right? If someone can go there and then it's already on there and they pay for it, that, and they already have it, it might be easier on you and still might get out. But I do agree that the hard copy is better, because it's like advertising, right? People see that and they're like, if it's on your Kindle, they're not going to see it. But whereas if you have the actual book, they'll be like, oh, Flat Earth, and they can pick it up. So I do agree that the hard copy, the actual book is better. But as far as just getting it out, having as many options as possible, because some people might be interested in getting it, but they might be in the closet. So they might be like, okay, well, I'll order it, and then nobody will know that I have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Today I will set up the Kindle version.
Terrific.
Hooray!
Yay! That's my agenda for the day.
Yeah. I do think there's a lot of closeted flat earthers. They wouldn't be. I went to a free. This was. I was with a free thinking group out here in Lancaster, California, which is northern LA County, and I went to a with this free thinkers group, and I mentioned flat Earth, and then I realized I was the only free thinker.
Oh, that's fun. How many people showed up?
You know what? There's probably about maybe 30 of them, and they were like, flat Earth. Like I could tell when I mentioned it, they were shocked. And then the following meeting, I went up there, and the guy comes up to me, and he was like, "You mentioned something," and it was this whole month. It was just bugging me, and then he had to ask me questions about flat Earth, the moon landing, and just like that, and so on. And I already know. Like I tell people, if they believe in the moon landing, they're not going to believe the Earth is flat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's just true.
That's my opinion. If they believe that we landed, forget about it. But you can still, present the information anyway, and then they'll ask their questions. A lot of people, especially these guys, they were like, "Well, I saw this thing on flat Earth," because then I'll see them at another meeting, and the Earth moves up, and I'm like, "No, that's that society,
flat Earth system.
Right." And so they think it moves up like that. It's like a frisbee, and then it moves up and down and all that stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I originally, when I was introduced to Flat Earth, I looked up the Flat Earth Society, and I went to their website, and I was reading some of their proponents, and I read that, and I was like, I don't know, that doesn't sound right to me. And so I was kind of turned off. But then I kept listening to Mark Sargent and Eric Dubay and ODD, and I was like, these guys. So I disregarded the Flat Earth Society. I was like, that must be a psyop or something.
Right. Yeah, at least you picked that up, because most people, once you start getting into the community, you realize that that's not the route.
Yeah, you have to, there are a lot of weeds that you have to wade through, make your way through.
And you know what, my point of view on the Flat Earth Society, because I'm actually a member of the Flat Earth Society and all kinds of different groups, right? But here's my own input on them. Every group that I'm in, everybody says some outlandish stuff. I say some outlandish stuff, and I don't think they're really a disinfo group. I think that there's just some people in there that have some crazy ideas that they try and theorize, But either way, it does throw people off big time, because that's always where they're thrown to. And everybody says that same thing. Oh, the Earth elevates at such and such speed. Rubbish.
Yeah.
Flat Earthers don't know what you're talking about. So it ends up doing a disservice to us. So yeah, it reminds me, well, to not throw out my theories so much, because it starts to throw people off. The simple basics, it's hard to stick to them, but the simple basics is where it's at, A boat doesn't sail over the horizon. You can take a telescope and see that it didn't sail over the horizon. It just went past your viewpoint. Water stays level. There's no detection of the Earth's motion, and we know how to detect the Earth's motion. We can detect earthquakes. So there's no detection of it with interferometers, but it's hard to stick to that. And then we start theorizing, and we mess ourselves up by theorizing sometimes. So, but no matter what, we're winning. We're winning so fast, and to me, I think all we got to do is keep on coming together like we're doing on Karen's show, and we're going to win this thing real fast.
Oh, yeah. And Joey, you have, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I was just saying I agree 100%.
Go ahead.
We've just
Sorry, there must be a delay.
What are you gonna have?
Joey, what's going? You have a Flat Earth kiosk in a mall, is that right?
Yeah, at the Maui Mall, I have a kiosk, a clothing store called Flat Earth Clothing and Souvenirs, and we sell all of our Flat Earth clothing there and other conspiratorial stuff and brand name clothes to attract everybody. And we sell them for $3 each. In Maui, it's so expensive. It's like the go-to store. We actually make money off of it. But it's my way of planting seeds.
Wow. That's awesome. Good for you. I wish I had business acumen.
You do. You did a book.
I don't.
Try to make money off it. That's what I tell people. There's this weird thing in the community. It's like, no, don't make money off the movement. That's like dirtying it or something. No, it's not. Look, we got to feed ourselves. I'd rather feed myself selling Flat Earth shirts than scrubbing a toilet. And plus I have the opportunity to plant seeds, and I feel proud of myself. You know, just like you with your book, if there's an opportunity for anybody to do a business or incorporate Flat Earth into their business, do it by all means. Look at the Flat Earth Brewing Company. You know, look at all these different people that are doing it. Nathan Oakley sells clothes. Ernest Pearson sells clothes. Sell them, guys. We got to get the word out there. Most people who buy my stuff, most people aren't flat earthers who buy my stuff. A lot of people who buy my stuff are getting them as gifts for other people because they're really cheap. And they're probably going to look at it and be like, what? Flat Earth? What is this? And whatever, it's going to help somehow. So yeah, I totally recommend everybody trying to find their business IQ, whatever they're good at, and making money off of truths, whatever truths, especially flat Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
it's not money.
That's definitely find a way to. Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, if you can do it and you can incorporate Flat Earth into your business, 100% do it. You know, and the problem is that every business that I've been in, it's Flat Earth is basically it's going to bury you. You know, you just can't bring it up, unfortunately.
That's true.
You know, so. But once I find something, hell yeah, you know, I'll definitely incorporate it, because this is the easy way to get info out, you know, especially here in this area. You know, I'm surprised there's not as many people have contacted me that live in New York. I've only gotten a handful of people. I mean, all my information is listed on my YouTube channel. And I've gotten people that have contacted me, and from Jersey, and also maybe 2 or 3 from New York. But I'm surprised that there's not much more of an impact, you know, with you know, conferences, because I've had 1 or 2 here, just meetups at a restaurant.
Okay.
And the people that I've met are really, really nice people, but there's only like 2 or 3 of them, you know, and it gets to a point where it's kind of like almost a waste of time in a way. But when you do activism in an area and you get a billboard, you know, and you just wait for people to come up to you to ask you, you know, what is this all about? You've got to start from the beginning. You know, you can't start giving them, you know, Flat Earth at a level that you're on right now. You've got to go back to, you know, the beginning when you started, you know, with the water, with the shadows, with all of, you know, the sun and the moon, you know, with NASA. I don't know where people start. You know, sometimes they start at NASA and then they go to Flat Earth. You know, some people go from Flat Earth to NASA, you know, and it's almost reverse. You got to figure out who you're talking to. And well, I mean, like, for example, today I had somebody come up to me, you know, and he's like, yeah, I saw your plate. Is that you? You don't believe NASA's telling the truth? You know, and the minute he said that to me, and then that sarcastic voice, I knew there was no point of conducting a conversation with this person, because it's going to get me nowhere. And that's when you hand a card to somebody, and very nice. Thank you for noticing. I appreciate it. At least I know you can see and read. But I'm not gonna engage much into it. You know, it's.
You know what my approach is, brother? Because I'm dealing with people every single day that come up to our kiosk, and it's like a 7 days a week. I work for 7 days, right? My approach is this: I tell everybody, unless they want to know more information, I tell everybody, look, here's all I really want to tell you is that a lot of people come up to me and they ask me, are you for real? So the most important thing I can tell you is all of us, millions of Flat Earth truthers all around the world, we truly believe this, and we're truly adamant about it. And we're trying to tell everybody that the government is lying to us and oppressing us, and we're trying to get our rights back. That's the seed I plant them with, because someone else taught me that. And it works really, really good, because they go, oh, wow, cool. I'm into some conspiracies too. And then you make them the topic of conversation. And then usually they don't ask me too much about Flat Earth, but that's how I plant my seeds. Because I think in my mind, we have to remember, we say we're planting seeds, right? Does a person who plants seeds sit there and just watch it grow all day? No, they don't. Planting a seed, you just got to go. You just got to tell them, look, what we're about. There's millions of us, and we all truly, sincerely believe this. We're not trying to get a laugh. We're not trying to do it for any other reason, but we're trying to take down the government. And that's a popular thing to say. And they're like, ooh, I like that, you know. Kind of like the hippie movement. The hippie movement didn't tell everybody what they're all about. They just said that they're hippie movement. They're about peace. And people join them like crazy, even though it got intervened. But I think that our approach should be more, what is our mission statement? That should be more of our seed planting. That's what I think.
Yeah. What do you think about people, you know, doing videos where they're sitting there and they're going up to people or, yelling, shouting, trying to convince them that the flat's Earth. I see videos of people yelling at people, like, or like
Street
they'll go up to NASA, yeah, and stuff like that. I think the street thing is good if you do it in a cool way. Like I see, the guys out in the UK, they have their thing and stuff like that. But some people, it reminds me of some of those street preachers or something where they're sitting there and yelling at people as they walk by. I don't know if that's cool.
I'll take anything over nothing. Anything over nothing is better, even though I wish they wouldn't do it that way. But if I had the option of saying, look, this person who's going to be obnoxious and yell it out could either do that or they could just say nothing at all. I'll take anybody saying anything. Really, if they have the guts to do it, go for it. But once you mature in it and once you've been doing it for a while, you realize there's an approach. There really is. And I think those people are just gaining their own courage. They don't know how to say it softly, so they're yelling it. And, they're afraid, kind of, right? Like the little dog.
As I say, it takes a lot to do this, and it takes a lot of energy to do this too. Just 3 or 4 hours of doing activism, it just takes a lot out of you because you've got a lot of people coming up to you, and you want to scream and yell at these people, But I personally, that's not my approach. Other people have, and it works for them, and that's great. If I do that, then I'm just going to get barking back from them.
Right, right.
It's just going to be a contest back and forth, and I don't think that's the best approach for me. That's just my personality. Other people have a different personality. Everybody's got a different approach to it, and whatever works for them. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. My camera's doing some funky things over here. Really funky things. I'm getting like green and red. Are you seeing me in a regular picture?
Yeah, you look fine to us.
Yeah, you look fine.
Oh, okay, all right. It's just on my end then. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
You look fine. No problem.
I feel a bit like you, Cece. Like these people come along, I just steer away now because people have to wake up themselves, and so they're kind of aggressive towards you, even if it's quiet. They're still aggressive because the way they're talking to you, what they're saying. I just don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
I agree. We had this one guy. Yeah, we had this one guy that just went. I'm sorry.
I was just saying my youngest son's really not into this at all. It doesn't matter what I talk about to him. It's all the same stuff. Doesn't matter what you say, even if you talk about Star Thoughts or anything. He's just not interested, my youngest son. Not at all. He makes me feel nervous.
Oh. How old is he?
Late 20s.
That's a difficult age. 20-year-olds are really an important generation to anybody who's in college right now, freshman, sophomore. I mean, they really are the generation, and also the kids. You've got 2 generation gaps right here that really need to be informed about this, and they need to be the ones that know about this because, hey, look, they always say the younger you are, the more you're going to be able to pick up a foreign language to accept it. And I agree with that 100% because I learned another language when I was very young. And learning it when you're older, you really can't get it. 20-year-olds are difficult to get to because think about when you were 20. Somebody came up to you with this information. I mean, really, what was your look, I'm going out to a party next week. I don't care what the hell you're talking about. That's the attitude you're going to get. So it's difficult. But if you really get somebody who wants to know about it, by all means, go and talk to them and get it out there if you can wake them up.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and I told Karen last time that I was on that my niece, she's 20, and she just had a baby, and so she's home, and she uses YouTube as her escape, and so I sent her some links to some Flat Earth stuff, and she checked them out, and she's like, wow, I never thought I would ever be looking into the possibility that the Earth could be flat, but what they say makes a lot of sense. And so she doesn't think I'm totally crazy, and she's looking into it, and I'm very happy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how old are you? I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. Go on.
How old are your children, Cece?
I just have one. My daughter's 8. And I've planted a lot. Your book's going to be on again on the counter. I can't wait. And I have cards and other things around the house, so she knows. But I don't want her to stand up in school. I mean, she goes to a private school, so it's small. And that's even more difficult because they even indoctrinate them even more and much more heavily too. It's different when you're in a public school and you've got 100 kids in your classroom, versus 15, 20 kids. And so it's difficult for children, but it's got to get out no matter which way. It really does. You've got to question your science teacher. You really do. I mean, because everything that they're teaching these kids is a complete lie. None of it is true. It's all speculation. It's all BS. These kids have to wake these professors up and these teachers up, because what they're selling our kids and what we're paying for is BS. And that's what pisses me off even more.
It's funny that you say that. My 16-year-old, he's the one I usually take to the Flat Earth meetups with me. And people get a kick out of him. But he used to be in astronomy, and he used to know all this stuff, and he was really interested in it. And I was talking to him. I'm like, well, you don't seem to be interested in astronomy like you used to be. And he's like, something doesn't seem right. So when I introduced him, to the Flat Earth stuff, he adopted it pretty quick. And then he tells some of his friends at his school, well, check this out, check that out. And so, I found that interesting. So it was an easy transition for him. My other kids, they'll go. My older kids, they respect me enough to go, I guess, with anything that I will tell them. But I'd rather them do their own research, not just listen to me. But my 16-year-old, he seems to be the most one that's open to all kinds of different things. And he had kind of found, not necessarily flat Earth on his own, but that the astronomy was kind of bull on his own. So it was easier for him just to say, you know what? Yeah, maybe it is flat.
Hey, Steven,
what I mean?
You should ask your boy who geeks out on astronomy and stuff, if you haven't already, about the retrograde of Mercury. That's what got me even kind of looking in the first place to even entertain this idea, because if anybody doesn't know it already, the retrograde of Mercury on a sphere does an S, right? And it's like, what the heck? So it's going back and forth. That's on a heliocentric model, right? But on a geocentric model, it does its normal pattern just like it should. And I was like, wait a minute. So ask what he thinks about that. That, for people who are big time into astronomy and stuff, that usually, when I talk to those people, that gets them right away. They're like, wait a minute, I never thought about that. They never even entertained a geocentric model. But when you show them a geocentric model, of course, where the Earth is stationary and the other planets are going around, like, hey, because that always throws people off. Everyone always goes, what the heck? Why does it make that S motion, right? And then they have this crazy explanation why. But on a geocentric model, it's black and white. See what he says about that.
I also think it's interesting because you're talking about the geocentric model. And you know what? I knew since I was a kid that Earth wasn't spinning through space, and I never really knew anything about these other models, like there's the concave and hollow and all that other stuff, until like the last year or so, right? So a lot of those guys, I think, are fantastic guys in the sense that some of them are truthers. They just have their own view on the way Earth is, but at least they're not heliocentric. So a lot of times, I think that, because I see like debates going on with flat earthers and concavers that I don't think necessarily should be happening yet. I think it's easier to get them. I'd rather somebody get off the heliocentric, go to concave, and then you get them to flat Earth, as opposed to like just knocking everybody. Because I think once you get off the heliocentric model, then now you have these other ones to work with, and then after that,
I say that to everybody. People who think that the Earth is concave, or that they think it's square or circle, cool, they're on our same team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why absolutely. No. I've done my research, and you don't know your land masses. You're an idiot. You're a shill. But no, we're all on the same team. I guarantee you, as nice as Brother CC is, or as nice as Suzanne is, I bet you if we talk in depth, we'll have some disagreements. We have to just say, oh, you're on my team because you don't believe in the heliocentric model. That's qualifications right there, because everybody else who we call the sheep, they do believe it. So the concavers, they're our friends too, I don't.
Yeah. At least they don't believe the heliocentric model. Yeah, I agree. Because I think like I say, I can't, and concave is cool. I just don't see it. Like there's things to me that that just doesn't make sense. But I think it's a fantastic. When I seen the presentations, I thought it looked great. I just always, as a child, thought that it was just a, level plane, with the mountains and different things. So I just stuck with that. That just made sense to me. But arguing with, and then I see them and they're truthers, except they have a different view on Earth. And I see people just like, calling them out and stuff like that. And that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes sense to any of us on here, brother. And no. But it's coming to a point where people are starting to get it. Like, well, what are we doing here? No, I mean, because the people that called somebody else a shill for representing the AE map, well, then later on, they're now the shill for representing this map. You know what I mean? So it's like, we don't know. We don't know. The only way we're really gonna know is once we all win this thing, and then we can actually have people explore the Antarctic, the treaty that's been cut off, and we can see how much more land there is. We can explore.
Well, that's the thing. Absolutely, and you mentioned going after the government. Now remember, they are puppets. They are all puppets in this reality that we live in that they
don't even know they're
really. Yeah, and they don't, and you know what? Most of them aren't even aware of the flat Earth at all. They don't really care because they've got so many other things they have to deal with. But I mean, it's really the billionaires that are the ones that are running this country, and that is who we've created. And I hate to mention their names. It's what we're using right now to contact each other, and it's what I use on a daily basis.
Right.
We've got monopolies that have taken over the entire world, and they're the ones who are running basically everything around us. And it's people say, oh well, they've got so much money, they've got so much power. They don't. They're afraid of us. Okay, they don't want us to organize. They're frightened to death about us. They don't want this. You've seen it in the numbers. You've seen it with people's channel closing down. We outnumber them. And there's a lot more of us than they are of them.
It would be like this. My dad, he retired as basically a warden at the prison at California Men's Colony in San Luis Obispo, right? And he would talk to me about this all the time. He would say, you know what? And my dad, he just had a derogatory sense of these inmates. But either way, the point is this. He would always say, you know what, those stupid inmates, if they were smart enough, they'd realize there's only 100 of us or plus officers, and there's thousands of them. All they'd have to do is those dummies quit fighting with each other, and they'd throw us out immediately. But I apply that to us. We're arguing with each other. Man, this thing will be won 2017 if we weren't knuckleheads, me included, of course.
What I was just thinking when you just mentioned that. I was thinking of this old. Where they had a bunch of sheep barricaded by a fence, and when they remove the fence, the sheep still go out in that same direction where the gate was open because they don't know any better. So we have like mental boundaries on us, right? And I think that's what's happening right there. And
yeah, you're right, Stephen.
Yeah.
Actually, somebody did that. There was an activist. It was 20-year-olds, millennials that did it, and they would go. I think it was in North Carolina or South Carolina. They would break the gates so the sheep would run out, but they wouldn't leave. They they're just, it's ingrained in their head. The food is there, everything is there. Why would they go? Why would they leave? Why would they disappear? And that's what we've lived with all of our lives. That's what we've inbred it. It's there. It's programmed in our head. It's been done very, very, very well.
And so I think it's our fault. Like the way because like I say, if we're the majority and there's just a few at top, I think we let it go on too long, and now we're fighting back. But because the elites have such a they're so far a head start that it's like now we're just playing catch up. Now I see the people. The thing I don't like about I hate what they did with Alex Jones, for example. I know we were talking about remember when we get services that are free, we're the product, right? And so because we don't pay for anything, they can just take us off at any time, right? Because it's not really a paying service. They're using us for our information and for our time. But it would be different if this was an actual service. That's why I think if some, and I might even try to do something someday if I can figure out. And we need another alternative way to do things where we can still connect should some of these channels or things get taken off, and not rely on this service that's free as much. You know what I mean? Because first they stopped the monetizing people. There's so many things that they're doing to make you want to leave, and if you don't leave, then they just take your channel off. And now Alex Jones is more popular forever, but he has his own little thing that he's using, right? So I think we can't really rely on this stuff, though I think it's great, and I think it's good for us now that we know who we are. If we were to go somewhere else, we would know, okay, well, let's go to Karen's place, or let's go to CC's place, and so on, because we already know them now. So I think YouTube was a great starting point, but now I think we're at a point now where we'd still be connecting whether or not we had this platform.
Now, Stephen, you're absolutely right, and that's the problem, is creating this platform.
Right.
And that's really the problem. They have supplied it for us, and I just don't know what's going to happen in the future. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, they're going to disconnect us soon.
Right.
And unfortunately, they even telephones. Hey, look, everything is local if you have a cell phone, but they still have long distance on your regular landline. Can you believe that nonsense?
Right.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. Yeah, this is really confusing for me, because on my cell phone I can call California and talk to somebody for hours, but yet if I do that on my kitchen phone, I'm going to get charged long distance. It's nonsense. Why haven't
you want to know the reason for that, brother CC? There's actually a good reason for that. Whenever Nixon called the moon in 1969, they had to set up special receivers, and we're still getting charged for that.
Yeah, that's probably it.
That's funny.
That's rich.
That is hilarious. Excellent.
I'm trying to think. Did I see somewhere? I'm not even sure if the phone was actually even plugged in, now that I think about it. But maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Just to say that Bling Bling's doing this as well.
Oh, is that Bling Bling? Hey!
Hi,
Hey guys.
How you doing?
Hi there. I'm good. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I don't have the best reception out where I am right now, but I realized that it was like, oh shoot, I'm so mixed up. I don't know what time it actually is for me right now, because I'm in Canada and it's complicated, because I'm like right next to America, and sometimes it's an hour ahead, and then sometimes it's an hour behind, just depending on.
No, you're on our. Yeah, you're on our. It's when they do the Easterns. They do the daylight savings time, and you should be on our time right now. It should be all right.
Well, I'm in New Brunswick right now, so but I literally were right next to Madawaska, Maine, so sometimes then my clock will jump an hour ahead instantly, and it's really weird. Like I can go back over the bridge, and then it changes again, back and forth. It's the weirdest thing I ever saw.
Hi.
Just to say, you're on with CC, Joey Rocha, obviously Patricia's there quietly, Stephen Harris, or Steve Harris, and, Suzanne Borho, who's written the children's.
Oh yeah, you got that book published now, I understand. Hi everybody. It's
Hello.
Yeah, that's great.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So you got the artwork all fixed now, Suzanne?
Squared away.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That was a pain for you.
Took some doing, but yeah.
So what have I
you.
missed? What have I missed? How long has the hangout been going on too?
We've been going for a couple of hours now.
Oh wow,
my
2
word.
hours. Oh shoot.
Been putting the world right. That's what we've been doing.
You've been doing what, Karen? Say it again.
Putting the world to rights.
Good.
Talking about how we can win this thing. We know it's flat. We're trying to convert people with books and billboards and meetups. All the different
hard.
stuff.
So hard. I was with we had a party the other night for my little grandson, because he got baptized, and there was a bunch of my stepdaughter's friends here, and one guy in particular I thought, I'm going to try with him. There was no one else around, and we were having a conversation about math, and most people don't know basic math, and I thought somehow I was able to work into if he actually knew the math for the curvature of the earth. And I had said it like what they tell you the curvature of the earth is. And he kind of repeated, he says, you mean what it is? He was really listening to what I said. And I said, well, what they tell you that it is, and I said, 8 inches per mile squared. And then, of course, he didn't know that. I could tell right away he didn't know it. And so eventually, I should have, I usually talk about the moon landing and I'll talk about 9/11 and see how open-minded someone is. I really don't like to just jump into it, but I thought I was just going to go for it. And he was really incredibly awful.
Oh, really good.
So close-minded. And I threw a bunch of stuff at him that has absolutely no explanations. And he just got really mad. And he said, I heard about you. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What does that mean? He goes, no, 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 in his French Quebec accent. He's like, I just heard that, you believe the earth was flat. So it was like, that's just great. So they all can sit around and have a good laugh. And that just makes me angry at this point because we damn well know the earth is flat. And these people are so ignorant and they're so small-minded and they're so deceived. And it seems like there's nothing we can do to make them see the truth. They just want to live in that. And I don't even see it as cognitive dissonance at this point. I just see it as just pure stubbornness and total shutdown refusal to look at any of the evidence. I put a call out on my Facebook. It was, I think day one, Rob Skiba's excellent presentation. And I said to my Canadian Flat Earth friends, I said it was the Canadian conference that we had. And this is what we believe in. And I just wanted them to look at it. And I just had one person respond on my Facebook, and they obviously didn't watch it. And it's such a good presentation. And he provided a link to some moron that in the first 30 seconds, he was talking about how boats go over the horizon, So, I knew right away that this person that was not a Canadian that was providing this link had not looked at it at the presentation, or they would have been too embarrassed to have supplied a link like that. So it's so hopeless sometimes. I don't know what you guys are doing, but
Bling bling. Bling bling. My first test that I did on my own, besides looking at some information online and everything, where I actually did a test, was the boat thing. Because in Hawaii, everything is imported, exported. So we have these big maxing shipping things. So before I was actually convinced, I was just looking into it. I brought a group of my friends. My wife bought me a telescope. And anyways, we focused on the Matson boats. And just like you're saying, absolute rubbish, right? And you got to show people either videos of that or explain it like you did. And if they throw away that, I mean, that's really the strongest evidence they have why the boats sail over the horizon. And once you can smash that for them, that's what works.
I think I at least planted seeds. I asked him, how does water bend around, a sphere? And I asked him how it was able that we had record photography across vast distances and able to see landmarks that should be totally behind hundreds of feet of curvature. And some other things that I can't remember that I said, but they were all really strong, valid points.
Good job.
I think that he walked away like kind of wondering in his own mind, like how that was possible. And I did tell him that we're not a bunch of high school flunkies here, that we have every level of military. We have every type of educated person possible, including teachers, and we've got
pilots,
geologists. We've got physicists. We have astronomers. We have everybody. We have engineers.
You got Russian vids.
We got Russian vids, of course.
You know what, too, though, Bling Bling? Here's something else to consider. I'm sure you already have, but like, let's say they walk away and they go, "You're an idiot. You shouldn't breed," whatever negative thing they're going to say, right? Well, you've still planted a seed because they're probably in their anger and their angst. They're going to go and they're going to tell all their friends, "You know what? I met this lady. She's so stupid. She thinks the earth is actually flat. She's trying to say blah, blah, blah." And they're going to go and say, "What is this that they're talking about?" So no matter what, you planted a seed. And so just speaking up and being the brave woman that you are, you made a huge impact right there. It's not always about conversion, it's about planting seeds. So that's a great.
I think that's really all we can do for so many of these people. And even if it's a seed, like my husband has never once watched a video. He refuses to. It's like totally he gets so angry over the concept, so I wouldn't force it. So I try to have him overhear me say things that I know that I'm not talking to him, but I could be talking to someone else or listening to something. Sometimes by just sheer luck, a podcast will actually start coming into the truck when we're traveling over the speaker system. And then he's kind of stuck listening to it. He doesn't want to fiddle with the knobs while he's driving. So he's heard a lot. I don't know what he really thinks. He's never said. But his own words to me were he witnessed the sun traveling every day across the sky. So that's his interpretation. He doesn't obviously doesn't know what heliocentrism says about that, but he told me he sees the sun every day go from one end to the other and set. So that was
go in the circle.
yeah, that was pretty much that was good for me. That at least he witnesses the circuit of the sun, and not that we're actually supposed to be going around the sun. So it's amazing to me that people don't know. I mean, I don't. Maybe we shouldn't be so. I don't know how much heliocentrism I actually knew either before all of this. I certainly know more about it now than I care to, really, but you have to know it to be able to support Flat Earth. So it's quite interesting to see the amount of people that know nothing about it at all. Don't you find that? Isn't that strange?
The amount of people, I think, is almost everybody, actually.
Yeah.
Honestly, myself, you know, I know a decent amount about it now. I didn't know nothing about it before. You know what I mean? I thought I did, and I would front. If anybody asked me, I would say something, you know, fronty to them, and then maybe I'd go back and look up something, and just like everyone does to us now. But I think the truth is, 95% of everybody, they don't know nothing about it, and the powers that shouldn't be like it that way. That's why they have these astronomical numbers, you know, light years and, you know, stuff that nobody can figure out.
I don't think they taught any of us any of it, because obviously we would have remembered something. All I remember is being shown the globe, and that's where you live, and you know we're all wondering how it was possible. You remember all the childhood thoughts we had, and then it was like, no, this is it, and they never taught any of that, and then all of a sudden you just start hearing about light years. But does anyone remember being taught any of this? Certainly don't remember anything.
Actually,
whatsoever.
Not at all.
I do. My science teacher back in high school was really into light years for some strange reason. He taught us 186,000 miles per second, 7.5 times around the world. I'll never forget that. Now, this is back going to 10th grade. And he was really adamant about it. And I mean, there is no way of ever checking this at all because there's no space. You know, hey, look, you know how fast, sound travels, all right? We are 1,100 feet per second. Okay, good. That's wonderful. But there's no way of actually ever checking out how fast light speed travels at all. There's just no way. But we don't have a big enough area, as far as I'm concerned, to even get an accurate thing. But, you know, there it is. But everybody believes it. You know, hey, look, that's 7 trillion light years away. This is 10 trillion light years away. And that's fine. They believe it, and it's very difficult to get them out of that indoctrination, out of that sickness, that disease that we were all in too.
But did they teach you the basic stuff, like you're talking light years? Did they teach you that the Earth's curvature is 8 inches per mile squared?
Absolutely not. No, that was not given to us at all.
And you know what? When you really think about it, I think that they absolutely decided to not ever include that into any curriculum for fear that we'd actually start trying to measure it and realize that it's not
so when
there.
they teach you really about the spin of the Earth, that say at the North Pole you'll be going almost 0, and at the equator you'll be doing 1,000 miles an hour, and when planes travel they've got to change speeds to cater with the spin difference. Never talk about
exactly, Karen. Did you learn about that? I didn't, because if I did, I would have sat up in that class and said, "How the hell can you travel in a plane going south against the spin of the atmosphere and the Earth?" Because apparently we're taught that the atmosphere travels at the same speed the Earth does. That's why the clouds move with us, and that's why we can get hurricanes and tornadoes and rain. That's why everybody always fights me on that, when we all know it's impossible. So I mean, just simple, mathematics. From New York to California, you're going against, and what do they call it? The jet stream. You know, they make up these ridiculous names for this nonsense. But I mean, you'd be going against the spin of the Earth, which is 1,000 miles per. So you'd have to be going like 2,200 miles per hour to get there in 6 hours to California. But it's not, forget it. That's
not only that, but instead of flying in airplanes, we wouldn't be flying in airplanes anymore. We'd only be using helicopters, because all the helicopters is fly above the Earth for an hour and a half, like me, maybe 3 hours from Hawaii to California, land on down. The only hard part would be landing on a treadmill going 1,000 miles per hour, but you know what I mean?
It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible to be flying around, and these pilots are able to land the plane when we're spinning at that speed. And bottom line, that's it. No, but you're right. Bling Bling, you're absolutely right. We were never taught that in school, because I would have stood up and I would have said something and said, this is wrong. But I wasn't taught it. Nobody knew about it. And I don't think
Do you think teachers know? Like, if we could go back to school, to school now as a student and ask these types of questions to our teachers, would they know that the Earth curves at 8 inches per mile squared?
I don't think so.
Would they know that? It's really interesting to me.
That's the complexity of it, is that to keep the least amount of people in on it, because people can tell integrity. You know what I mean? So these teachers, they're just me and you and Karen and Bling Bling. They're just normal people, right? With the pedigree of teacher. They went in there with the curriculum. I seriously doubt any of them knew it. They had good intentions. They probably believed the Earth was a globe too. And that's how
I'd be interested if anyone has school-age kids, or in the chat, have your kids ask their teacher, their science teacher, what the curvature of the Earth is. Like, what is the actual, like, how is it measured? Not giving it away to them and saying 8 inches per mile squared, because then they maybe pretend like they knew it, but to see if they actually knew it by just asking a question. It'd be interesting to know what their answer would be.
Yeah, it's my son to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen other people ask this question, and that is a very good point, because people should have their kids say this. So instead of them standing up and saying that the Earth is flat, just have the teacher or the professor answer a simple question. How do you figure out the curvature of the Earth? How fast is the Earth spinning? Do they know? We all know this by heart. I never knew it. I mean, it's just like given for us. But these professors, these teachers, I don't think they know it. I really don't. I don't know.
Wouldn't it be really interesting if we had our kids do that, and then ask how about if we had a science experiment on a field trip that we could go and measure the curvature of the Earth?
Sure. Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
I'm not sure if any of you saw, but I put out his name's oh my goodness, let me just get his name, because he's gone now. Steve Mansfield, and the title is "If We Are a Planet, Flying South is Impossible. You'd have to do a corkscrew to fly down."
I saw that video.
How can people not get it? Well, if you don't get it and you don't know that you don't know, fine. But once you start to know, how do they not get it?
Well, I just don't understand how they can say Coriolis effect and be so like adamant that it's such a thing. But then when you ask them about, why we can't just hover over the Earth, and wait for the location to pass by and then just drop down again, that they think you're crazy to say that. Yet they're so adamant about the Coriolis effect. It makes sense.
That's the name for it.
My wife is retired. She was a teacher. Now we do something else. I told you we have a clothing shop, right? But she was a teacher on Oahu for, 13, 14 years, for a long time, right, in the high school with special needs kids. But anyways, we became flat earthers together a few years ago, right? And we actually tried that experiment of seeing if you can go to the school and teach that curriculum. You will get in massive trouble for it. You're not allowed to teach that stuff. So I don't think that teachers that are flat earthers will even try to do it, because it's like walking into a den of wolves. It sounds good when we're in these meetups, but either somebody very courageous is going to do it and risk their job. But my wife asked the school board if she would be allowed to talk about these types of things, and they said unless it's approved, you're not allowed to talk about it. It's like,
but what if it was done in a way that the child would never mention flat Earth, and was
Yeah.
acting like they completely,
Yeah, that's the way
understood
to
that
do
it
it.
was heliocentric, and they just,
We
it'd be
never
cool.
thought
Let's,
about that.
let's measure it, teacher, because if it's 8 inches per mile squared, then we should be able to measure it pretty easily.
No, I
If it
love
was
that.
done in a really sneaky way,
Reverse engineering.
hoodwinking all of them, it would be pretty cool to see the teachers coming up empty-handed.
Yeah, like going out there and saying, look, guys, look, kids, today on our field trip, we're gonna prove that the Earth is a globe. Not that it's not flat or anything. We're just gonna prove to you how our ancestors knew. And what we're
Exactly.
that would be the smart way to do it. That's a really good
Or
idea.
you know what? Or that might make a good sequel to Susan's children book, where now they're a little bit more advanced and they're trying tests in this book.
Yeah, really.
Good point.
Hey, Susan, make another book.
There you go.
Write another
Right.
one.
Brilliant. That's nice.
Science
Children's book
experiments.
experiments. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
That's a great
easy to prove. I mean, how many times have we seen in I know on my channel, how many times I've seen someone say it's so easy to prove the curvature of the earth. So easy. And it's like, wow, that always like just mind blows me, because if it was, would we all be sitting here, like
I
doing all of this if it was so easy? Like, so many people have gone out to try to measure it, and
Not a
it's
single
just
one.
not
Right.
there. And they did it wanting to prove that the earth was a globe, because they thought flat earth was insane, and then they became a flat earther.
Right.
So
But
it's
I
just,
think I was gonna say I think reaching the kids is a good idea. It was interesting. I was watching one time. I was flipping through some shows and I was watching that non sequitur show, right? And there's a host under that Steve guy, McRae. He said his daughter came to him and said, "Hey, some guys at my school was talking about flat Earth," and I think he could have said something like, "It seems kind of interesting," and then he said he shot his dad. It sounded like he shot his daughter down to the point where she was like, "Yeah, Dad, you're probably right. It does sound stupid," but it sounded to me that his daughter was almost like said something like they have some good points, and then he just shot them down, which I think is a bad. Cause I think you should let your kids explore their ideas. 'Cause that's when they're young and they're experimenting. Instead of shooting them down, kind of let them think for themselves. But I think
absolutely.
the children books. I think if you like you were saying the book, and then asking questions to the kids, like experiments and things like that. I think that's where it's going to start.
Yeah, like it's easy to measure the curvature of the earth. Do this with your parents.
There you
You know,
go.
instead of saying, the earth's flat, we'll prove it, do this, which they never want to do it. Just say it's really easy to prove the curvature of the earth. All you have to do is go out and do these things, and then they'll all not be able to do it.
They can't do it. They're going to have to keep away from it because they can't do it.
Yeah, well, none of them will be able to do it, and that would be the best way to show people, because then they're going out to, okay, well, we're going to just measure it and shut all these people up, and then they can't find it. Then they're like really stumped, and maybe then they'll look at our research, because I just can't get people to watch videos on my Facebook. They just won't do it, and it's because they really think it's so insane. They do not expect to find the type of information that we provide. I don't know what they think they'll find there, but they must think it's just so insane. I mean, I think because I'm such a curious person that if someone was saying that to me, I would just watch out of sheer curiosity of like, how loony are these people, just to have a good chuckle, but not like hide my head in a hole. Like, I just find that so strange. Does everyone else like try to post videos on their Facebook and have the same result with all of their globe friends?
I don't have any social networking at all. I just have YouTube. That's all I have.
Probably smart.
Yeah, I let them. They have to find their information on their own. Like I'll put every now and then I'll post something on my other page, and I'll be like, and then It's funny because I have like 2 Facebook pages, and then one I could post stuff on and people like, and then the one that I have like a lot of people that I know, I could post pictures of my kids, and I'll get 100 likes, and I'll post something with Flat Earth, and it's like they never saw it. And if they did, they're not going to hit it. They're not going to hit a like
Well,
button.
that's what happens with me. And what I don't understand and kind of upsets me a little bit, I need to talk to some of my flat earth friends, because there is a lot on my Facebook. They need to be following me, and they need to support me when I post something. on Flat Earth on my Facebook, because I'm doing this in front of all of my family and in front of all my friends. And if I'm not getting any support or likes or comments, it just hurts the Flat Earth community very, very much. So we all have to support each other. And if you're on my Facebook, you should be looking if I've got something there about Flat Earth, and just at least like it and make a short comment. You don't have to write a freaking novel, but just say something, or even link something else, just to help it.
Hmm.
It's sad when you see that there's nothing, there's not a like, and then there's one comment and it's like a link to a ridiculous heliocentric video.
Well,
Definitely.
remember, the social networkings are stifling. I mean, they are squeezing all of your likes and everything else. I mean, they are changing your numbers, I'm sure. You might have a lot more people looking at these, and, maybe giving you checks and likes and stuff like that. But, Facebook, I mean, look, these are social networking. They don't want to have anything to do with this. They've created this free network for everybody, and we're taking full advantage of it. I'm sorry, Gary?
Well,
Bling
I've
Bling
never had
BS.
an experience of anything about Flat Earth being removed or suppressed or anything. It's always there. The comments are there, and like I said, I have a lot of Flat Earth friends on my Facebook. A lot of uh, people like me that are content creators. I just need some help on my side, because
But
you really
Bling
put your
Bling,
neck out. You put your neck out.
Facebook won't like you, will they? Because you're Bling Bling BS of the ISS.
Well, they don't
No.
know. No, 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 no. They know who I am. Like, everyone that's on my Facebook knows that my name is Christine Tebow. Like, that's not hidden. Because like I have like a lot of people now, because when I added them, I said it's Bling Bling, the BS of the ISS. Like, and like, oh, Christine, yeah, okay, and they added me, So I understand that a lot of men don't do Facebook, or I mean, I don't spend much time there either, because I really don't like Facebook that much. I love YouTube. I'm probably against the norm. I think most women like Facebook and men like YouTube, but I'm a YouTube person over Facebook. It's too much drama and everything else. But
Hmm.
I do once in a while post, a flat earth. Like, I was so pumped up from watching so much content from the conference that it totally re-motivated me all over again about
Oh
flat
yeah,
earth.
that one with Mark Sargent, that was fantastic. That one right
Oh
there. I
my word.
posted that on my video. Yeah, that was terrific. He did a great job on that one.
Absolutely. And
Absolutely.
and Rob Skiba, everything that he said. Day one is so good. There was stuff in there that I didn't even know that had been discovered, like old Russian documents that were classified, that were now declassified, that were transcribed into English, that said that the scientists did not know the shape of the Earth in 1949.
I didn't
So
see
like,
that. I did not see that. I got
it's
to check that
just
out.
so
Okay.
so great. It's so great. I was just so pumped up after watching it that I decided to put it on my Facebook. And that's the challenge that I put out to my Canadian flat earth friends, or my Canadian friends, not flat earth friends, my Canadian friends, to watch it, because the conference being in Canada, I thought it would be kind of cool, but no, nobody that I could tell watched it, or if they did, they didn't say anything. So
Really?
it's so compelling, that you can't watch that and walk away and still like believe everything that you believe. You have to walk away from that thinking, wow, that's a lot of stuff there, and that's really, really weird. And because he goes over so many points that are so powerful about what we believe in as a community. So people just, I don't know, they're just so selfish in their own little world. And often it's like, well, how does it affect my life?
Well, that's the first thing. How's it going to affect my life? How's it going to change? Am I going to be able to make money off of it? Are you going to be able to make money off it? Why are you thinking about this stuff? Why are you think? Well, I mean, our taxes are being taken out of. I mean, I mean, NASA. It doesn't
It's
exist.
just
It's a
it's
fraud completely, 100%.
it's so just so
I mean,
selfish. It's so selfish. It's so
it really is.
selfish. How does it affect my life? Does it make me more money? Like, no. How does it affect your life? Because then you know for sure that we're living somewhere that was created, and this whole Darwinism, Big Bang is completely a lie. Scientism,
Yeah.
atheism. I mean, right there to me is the biggest thing of all, and they just don't get it. You know,
No,
even
they
the
don't.
Christians, even the Christians, like, you know, even my own sister, you know, I've over and over again presented her with so many Bible verses that prove flat Earth, and
It's
she's,
all
you
there.
know, she just wants to believe that it's a, but she's very, very polite to me about it. But she just doesn't want to let go of that. I don't know what
Mhm.
she really thinks, like where God is, you know, if you're in an infinite, growing, expanding universe, like where's heaven? Some magical thing, I guess she thinks a veil opens and, you know, there you are. I don't know what she thinks, but it's disappointing. You know, as my sister, I really would like to see her like really look up the research that I've sent her and understand it. And she's not stupid. She was freaking one of the highest employees of CN Rail Canada. You know, she was a director, like ridiculous, you know, so educated. Just need her to freaking look at the videos. But I send them, but I don't think she looks at them.
She's not going to look at him. She needs to see, as other people that we have been trying to wake up. They need to see a figure that they look up to, that they trust, in order to say it.
Right.
I mean, it's almost like MSNBC or these ridiculous fake news networks that, I mean, who will never, ever even mention flat Earth. And if they do, it's going to be a belly laugh to begin with anyway, and make a complete fool of all of us. But unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know why we're here. We woke up and we're so adamant about waking other people up. And not a lot of other people are, especially, you know, in areas that we've grown up in and people that were around all of our lives. Why we can't wake them up as easily as we found out this info.
I know, right? Didn't you think it would be really easy?
They kind of trust you all your life, and then you talk about this, they don't trust you at all.
Yeah, exactly, Karen.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Like, you got to trust me now more than ever in your entire life. You know, they know we're not idiots. We're not
Yeah,
all
I know.
full of mental illness. You know, we're not taking drugs. Like, we're all
Jesus, yeah.
normal people, and it's really upsetting and disappointing. I thought that this endeavor of wakefulness would have been easier than it is, but you know, the devil has such a stronghold on this earth, so you know, it's easy for him to blind the eyes of people too, and we, you know, can't really forget that. So this is
Mhm.
what they want. You know, the devil wants us to be like this. So I don't know if they need something to happen. Um, you know, and I wonder about the newscasters, like how many of them actually really know that the earth is flat, but you know, they're forced to say what they have to say, and they just want to keep their jobs too, maybe. I'm
Right.
just hopeful. And I'm wondering, did you notice that Mark Sargent had said that they were invited to some celebrity's house? They never said whose it was. So I was curious to think, like, celebrities watching our channels, like that's so interesting to me, like to know like who that was, and that means there's probably a lot of others that silently watch our channels, and you know, we don't know that they're there. So I think
I'm
that's,
sure they are. I'm
you
sure
know,
they are. I'm sure they're. I mean, you know, one thing that really bothers me is the weatherman. I know the weatherman knows the Earth is flat. That's one thing I do.
yeah.
Tell me not. If any intelligent weatherman had a brain on it, he knows the Earth is flat, and he's just going along with the whole big thing.
Right. Yeah, I think peer pressure has a big thing to do with everything. And in regards to the celebrity, I would imagine it's somebody that's at a level where they're probably not, they have enough money where they don't care anymore, and they're probably not doing many movies anymore. So they're just like, I'm doing what I want to do now. Forget it. You know what I mean? Like, I think somebody that's like, that's relevant right now probably wouldn't admit that they're a flat earther because they want to keep the money rolling in. But once they're at a level like a Harrison Ford or somebody where they've done about all they're going to do, then they can look into things. Like even Alan Alda's kind of open to what flat earthers have to say. He at least says if
Oh,
anything,
I
they
saw
should have
that.
a voice. Yeah.
I saw
So I
that.
think,
Yeah.
yeah. And he seemed like really sincere when he was saying it. You know, even though the people around him were looking at him like, okay. But I think he was like, yeah, once you get at a certain age where you don't care anymore, it's just like, all right, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do and, you know, say my piece.
I guess so. It would have been interesting if they had just said who they were. Why protect them? You know,
Because
we
then they
go
would be
through.
denying it. You know what I mean? They'd be like, I never said that. You know what I mean? Because it was in confidence anyway. So then you have this other guy denying it.
I know. It's just I think we need to just, if we're flat earthers, then we just need to come out and say that already. You know, sometimes I almost wish, and I just wish, and it'd be complicated and everything else. But if flat Earth was a religion, we would have so many rights. They wouldn't be able to fire us from our jobs because it would be now a religious belief.
There we go. What we
Um,
need at 503C.
you know, I mean, it's true. You know, hey, I'm sorry.
But the reality is
Dog.
just the fear of it is really what's keeping people from not wanting to speak out about it, thinking they're going to get fired. Because realistically, you could sue them. You could say, look, they fired me based on my beliefs.
Exactly, I agree.
Yeah,
Technically, they should not be able to fire you on something like this
can't.
because this is your belief.
Brother
You know?
CC, check it out. Before I was in the truth movement, I was working for Wyndham, which is the largest timeshare company in the world, right? Doing
I know that place, yeah.
yeah, so you know Wyndham, and I was doing like sales and getting up at the podium and stuff like that. And leaving that industry, I was already a flat earther, right? But I wasn't outspoken about it because I too was afraid. But I still know several of the prominent people in Wyndham that are flat earthers, that are closet flat earthers, because they literally have the fear that they're going to get fired from their jobs. And I've explained to them, look, you're not going to get fired from your job. But their comeback is this. They go, yeah, but do you want to be the laughing stock of your industry? You know, so it's hard on several levels. You got to really be able to find that inner strength and wear your flat earth t-shirt proudly and wear a bumper sticker. Everybody should have bumper stickers on their car. Wear a flat earth shirt. It's not against the law right now. That's the best type of advertising.
Yeah, I definitely. I have a lot of T-shirts and I wear them, and it actually starts a lot of supermarket line conversations. No question, it's really great.
And you're forced to own it, which is beautiful. You have to own it. Might as well.
I do own it. I tell people all the time. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm angry and ashamed of the people that believe the Earth is round at this point. I'm embarrassed for them. But no, it's true. But you know, if we were a church or a religion, we would be fully protected under the freedom of religion in the Constitution. And because there have been people that have lost their jobs over this, it's true. People have been fired from their jobs.
Look at Brian Mullen.
You know, I mean, he was threatened, and that shouldn't have happened. You know, and he was a great advocate for us, and I'm sure he's still flat. There's no question.
He's flat.
Right.
You know, it's
I think the title flat earth might, like, for example, someone believes in the globe, right? There's not really a name. You don't call them, we call them globe earthers, but people look at them as normal. I think if someone's flat earth, I should think you should just say, okay, I believe the earth is flat. But when you put a title in it, because the celebrity is going to be think, I saw some wrestler on TV. You've probably seen it. These two wrestlers was talking, and one wrestler said to the other one, "Oh, he's a flat earther."
I saw that.
And he's like, I'm not a flat earther. He got all mad, but he's like, but they got good points, and I can see it. So people hate the term. So I think if you were just people that believed Earth was flat but didn't have a title, then it would probably be like, okay, he's just a philosopher that thinks the Earth is flat, or she's a teacher that, you know what I mean? So I think when you put titles,
we need like just a symbol, like when Prince didn't use his name Prince anymore.
There you go. Right, something, because I think
we need that.
Yeah, because people just hate being like people that are successful, like the wrestlers. They just hate being called something. Do you know what I mean? Like being called.
Well, it still has negative,
right.
Real strong negativity against it right now, but it won't always be that way. You know, I hope. I don't know how long this is going to take. Some people are so optimistic that this is going to go mainstream, you know, so fast, but I'm not seeing it on my end. I'm not seeing it at all on my end.
Most flat earthers are truthers anyway, right? So it's like, I think that because flat earth isn't what defines us. This is something that we know as a combination of other things like 911. Or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's so we're a little bit of everything. But I think that when you this is what he is, and then put a title to it, it's like, that's not the only thing that defines you, though. Like, we don't believe in the moon landing. At least I don't. We don't believe, like, the gravity thing, the definition is all weird. Like it's really just weight. You know what I mean? It's like there's a whole bunch of different things that we disagree with, not just that. You know what I mean?
Well, I remember a time where I believed in the moon landing, and I believed the space station, and I
Now
believed
it's
in,
BS.
you know, 9/11 made me feel weird. Something felt really off about it, but I didn't
Right.
know what it was until I started to. I think Loose Change was the video that changed everything for me on that and opened my eyes. But, it's because why would you believe any different as any normal person? Why would you think that they hoaxed any of these things? Like, I didn't naturally suspect people. I'm not a suspicious person. I'm not like that. So I think that's how most people are.
Hmm.
I wasn't a person that looked into the conspiracy theories before Flat Earth, really. I think I'd already didn't believe in the moon landings. I think Loose Change did that to me too. Started to look at things and think about things, but
Yeah.
um, I was never a
That's
person that was just reaching out to, you know, investigate all these things. No,
Hmm.
All of our ancestors said since the beginning of time that we lived on a flat, motionless plane, and they're the ones that built the terracotta warriors and the pyramids and all this great stuff. What I always say to all flat earthers, because I'm a dome subscriber, is
hmm
this. I always say, if there was no dome, then NASA would be right, space would go on infinitely. But besides that, if there was no dome, then all of our ancient ancestors that we call upon for all their greatness, we say it was flat and we say it's motionless, and we always say they said so too. But we leave out conveniently that they also mention there's a dome. And I know that's way off topic, but we're talking flat Earth. So
That's
I
fine.
don't know why some more flat Earthers don't hold on to the idea of a dome, but
I don't
that's
know
my
what the
opinion.
percentage really is on
It's
who thinks
probably
that, who doesn't think that.
it's mixed. I know there's a lot that believe in some type of dome, whatever they're going to call it, and then there's some that just think that that is.
Well, if it was easy to get out, they'd have already done it by now, wouldn't they?
Well,
yeah.
it's funny, like being out where I am right now at my stepdaughter's house is really out in the country, and it's been really dark here at night, and the stars have been just amazing. And the Milky Way was so amazing these last few nights. And I don't know where I had heard this before, but someone had once said, or on a YouTube video, I'm sure it was, that they thought the Milky Way might have been where the dome had been split open when the Great Flood happened, and the water,
Oh yeah.
from above and from the great deep, came and flooded the earth. Like, and I was just thinking about that when I was looking at it the other night. It does seem like, a crack. Like it's just always there. It's like, I don't know if you've all seen it before, but it's you don't get to see it when you live in the city. Like, but it really kind of looks like clouds in a way, and it's just, of course, NASA makes it look like this most amazing thing, but and the reality of what you really see is just it's a dark sky, and it just looks like wispy clouds, kind of. And I'm thinking, is it a crack? And then he fixed it, just sealed it back up again, you know, like a windshield crack. Like, who knows?
It
Well,
does. It does look that way. Yeah, no, it absolutely does look that way if you really look
hmm
at it. And I know. I mean, even everything. I mean, even the Andromeda Galaxy. If you look at that and you see the cluster of stars that are so well organized and these little piercing lights, going
hmm
through it. But if you zoom in on these things, they really do look watery. Could be the atmosphere. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
Or there could be water above, as the Bible says. We don't really know that. I'm going to actually do
Well,
a
I
couple of
take the
experiments.
Bible literally. I take the Bible very literally. Like, that's how I read it. I believe
Mhm.
that's how it was supposed to be read. So, if God, he did, there's so much evidence of a worldwide flood. I don't think rain
Fossils and
rain
evidence
would have been
of
enough. So 40 days and 40 nights of rain to cover the earth, cover every mountaintop, plus. Um, how else except some huge crack in the sky, that just came in like
well,
bath water,
Look,
like a
if
faucet.
if we're huge, into the ancients, because I'm a biblical person too, but some people aren't, right? But all the ancients said there was some type of dome, including the Bible, right? The ancient Hebrew conception of it. But we have the Michelson-Morley interferometer experiment to prove that we're motionless, and Airy's failure, and much more, right? And we have like numerous flat Earth proofs, but we don't really have that many dome proofs. That's why I think people shy away from the dome, like rainbows, sundogs, and stuff like that. But what a lot of people don't realize is that we have a Michelson-Morley interferometer test equivalent to the dome, and it's lightning. Lightning, if you study the science of lightning, lightning strikes up, not down. It originates from the ground, going up like a Tesla coil, basically. So you have to ask this question. You have to ask yourself this question. Yeah, if that's true, which science says it is, so it's not like we have to argue against science. You can see multiple videos on it. There's a downward leader and an upward leader. They make a connection, a crackle noise makes, and then you see in super slow-mo HD the lightning traveling upwards. But here's the thing that we have to use, I believe, is that noise that we hear as thunder, that delayed reverberation that comes, 10, 15 seconds afterwards, that roar would be impossible if there wasn't some type of vast solid barrier to make a local noise. I think thunder is our biggest proof, and all of our ancestors, by the way.
And air pressure.
Oh yeah, there's
air pressure. And gravity. Gravity.
But thunder, think about it. How would we hear thunder
if it's not an enclosed system? Period.
Absolutely. Makes so much sense, doesn't it? Right? And the same thing, how does the atmosphere stay enclosed with us and not get sucked out into the vacuum of space?
Yeah, exactly. No, there's definitely something up there, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's such a joke. I mean, thunder, you got, everything powers that there is something above us, okay? And there is something definitely covering us. There's no doubt. And I mean, the stars are there. I don't even know if the stars are inside of that. I have no idea. I can get it. Don't get me started on this. I can go on for hours on it. But I mean, it's just, who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Check this out. If they are attached to it, because the Bible says so, if they are attached to it, it wouldn't be that far-fetched, because let's say they are attached to this dome. Well, we see the stars looking sometimes further and sometimes closer. What if that's just their proximity on the dome? And we see star doing a complete thing. The dome, I believe, does one complete 360-degree rotation per day, because it's organic just like everything else is. It's probably made out of glass, because Job 37:18, when asked what it was made of, says it's a molten lava looking glass. So it's probably made out of some type of earthly glass, which is lava.
I know, but what happens start about 15 miles up, and they go up to about 60 miles, maybe 50 miles, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around there, like 70 up, I think. I mean, they shoot these hot air balloons up there. I just want one with a camera on top. Why can't somebody get a rocket with a camera up on top, and I want to see how far this thing goes up, just fly it straight up there. Look, I don't have $275,000. That's how much one of these rockets cost, the amateur ones.
Is that it? Is that how much it would cost? Why can't we all raise that as a flat Earth community? Like, seriously, for something that important, we need to do something really important. We could raise that. We could raise that.
Look at Picard back in the 30s. He went up in a hot air, not a hot air balloon. He went up in it was a hot air balloon with basically a submarine attached to it. I'm sure we all know the story. And when he was asked what it looked like, he said it looked like basically a frisbee. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like a
turned up edges.
Right.
So we
want to know about the dome. We want to know about the dome. Like, that would be really the only way to know, is if we were able to get a rocket of our own.
Sure. I don't see why we can't fly that thing up there.
If it's truly only 275,000, I think that's a doable number, even if it took us a couple of years to save it up.
We could get
I agree.
Mad Mike could do it for that cost.
Oh, forget Mad Mike. Get someone else. Get someone we really trust in the community.
What's wrong with Mad Mike?
I don't know. I don't fully trust it.
Why not? He risked his life to flat Earth. He was just advertising flat Earth.
He only went up 1,200 feet in the air. How is
that was the guy who built the amateur rocket. Oh yeah, I don't know.
Flat Earth on it. That guy's a legend in my book. he promoted flat Earth. He got in the newspapers, and I hear so many people, so many flat earthers saying, "Oh, I don't know about him." What has he done wrong?
Well, that's the thing. There are too many flat earthers that don't trust him. So we would
But
need
why?
someone that
Nobody trusts
I'm
anybody.
not really sure.
Patricia's not trusted. Bling Bling's not trusted. I'm not. Nobody trusts him. That's a problem. That's why whenever I hear somebody saying, "I don't know about this person or that person," I go, "Wait a minute. Is there anything that we should not be saying?" Thank you very
I
much.
found out, yeah.
I'd like to see Mad Mike doing some hangouts, or I'd like to see him involved with some hangouts, or this kind of thing to build a relationship with the guy. I don't even know him, so that's important to me.
But he does do hangouts with other groups though. So I mean, he's just there's a lot of.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, he does.
He does.
I mean,
Karen, get him on.
Yeah, get him on.
Get him on.
I mean, look,
if he's willing to go up in the rocket and we can get a relationship going and build a trust with them, then you know what? Why not?
Yeah,
would we be allowed to do that? Like, seriously? We would be allowed to launch our own rocket with somebody in it?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, no, with nobody in it. I mean, that's an amateur rocket. The amateur rockets have, there's not a capsule inside. This was the one that was launched up a while ago. And remember that it bounced off the dome and you can hear it. So we don't know if that was
I don't know if that really happened, though, because...
Yeah, I don't think it did either, because you didn't hear anything from him afterwards.
Brian Mullen made a video, and he said that was something called a yo-yo switch or something, that the rocket automatically just shut itself off. So
probably,
but there was that weird, but there was that very strange water sound that we are so familiar with that the ISS makes.
Yeah, that's funny. Exactly. And that's all I want. I want a camera up on top. I don't want these cameras with moving around on the bottom, so you distorted everything. You can't really see much. Yeah, we know it's flat. I can see that it's flat, but what's up there, and can we see it as a reflection, or, what exactly is it doing? And yeah, we can get that going, and we don't need someone to represent it. You just contact the company, set up a GoPro, GoFund or whatever the hell they call it, the PayPal fund, and have that money directly going to the company where nobody handles it. The only people that handle it, the company is actually manufacturing this rocket. So none of us have any power over it.
Absolutely. So no one could say that someone took it. It's all we need.
It's all just going right to the company. They want to sell the rocket just to us as much as we want to buy it.
So until we've got it paid off, it's just like on layaway.
Exactly. It's on layaway. It's the best way to do it, I think. That's why nobody has any power. Nobody has any power over this money at all.
Maybe we could tell Red Bull that we want to break that last record, have a flat earther go up there and say he wants to go as high as we can and then jump.
Hey, he can launch it. I don't care. I just want to see that thing go up there. I'll put money into it. And I want to see it go straight up. Why don't we do that?
Like, I'm serious. Like, why don't we do something like that? And, of course, we can have cameras pointing down so we can also see the shape of the Earth.
Of course,
get it over
absolutely.
With. Just really get it over with already. Instead of everything else that we're doing independently, we should all come together as a community and chip into the hat. And if it takes us a couple of years, so be it. Maybe we have to fundraise, have our own fundraisers and socials and those types of things, on our own to raise money for this rocket.
Right. Exactly. I had a quick question, because I know a couple of you guys are biblical, and in regards to the dome, like, what was it in the ancient times that they were looking at that we can't look at now that led them to believe that Earth had a dome over it?
Silent. I don't know why it's silent. It should be, because it's written right in the first, right in the Bible. They explain it, and I don't read through the Bible. I really should. Doing a disjustice considering my daughter goes to Catholic school. And they don't really teach it.
Yeah, like what did the ancients see? Because it's another, because there's so many different cultures that believe that there's a dome over it. I was curious to know what was it that they saw that led them to believe that there was a dome.
My opinion, brother, is this. So whenever all these ancient cultures believed the Earth was flat and motionless with a dome on it, not just the Bible, but all these cultures, I believe that they were taking their teacher's word as absolute truth.
Okay.
I don't think that they were measuring and doing all this stuff. I think they were just taking it as absolute truth. And only recently have we been trying to, if what history says is true, 500 years ago, Copernicus said or sorry, Galileo said that the Earth was a globe and house in prison. I think that's when people started to say, wait a minute, it's once their dichotomy was destroyed. Then they said, wait, how are people sticking to this ball? How is this and how is that? So I think it wasn't a matter of how did they figure this out. I think that they absolutely believed what all their worldly teachers were telling them, because how else would they even think to question, is it flat? It's just, you wouldn't even, I don't think people would think that. I think it would just be like, this is the place, this is the realm that we live. So I think once it became a question of, it was a reverse dichotomy, is when people started doing tests. I think before then they just believed what the scripture told them. Like, for example,
and it is just the scripture. I don't think there was anything different about the earth. Like, I believe that, you know, like, spreading out the skies, I think they refer to something like in the Bible, something hard as a cast metal mirror. I believe is, you know, you know, and when the flood, and with the flood, I remember that they said that the windows of heavens were opened.
Oh, that's what I was looking for. That's right. That's right. The windows of heaven were opened. Exactly.
Look at this. If the windows of heaven were open and that's how the water poured out, and then on the 40th day when it reached the highest mountain, it was closed. Well, that's some type of solid, vast barrier for sure.
Absolutely. Like it said that the fountains of the great deep, you know, had burst, you know, so the water was coming up from the ground and from, what's that?
Check this out too, Bling Bling, talking about, or whoever else is listening, that they're Bible geeks. What interests me a lot was, you know, Noah's flood that we're all talking about, right? Well, the reason why everyone thought he was such a fool, it wasn't just because they're like, yeah, right, it's going to flood up to the highest mountain. That's pretty kind of hard to believe, but that wasn't the reason why they doubted him. The reason why they doubted him is because before that time, there was never any water that came from above. It all came from whatever you want to call it, some kind of geysers or sprinkler system or something like that. So they're like, what are you talking about? It's going to rain and water from the heavens going to pour down too? No way. And then lo and behold, it happened. And it reminds me of what we're talking about with the flat earth. You know, nobody's going to listen until it's real.
You know, I quickly opened my Bible and I found in Exodus, and they saw the God of Israel. There was under his feet, as it were, a pavement of sapphire stone, like the very heaven for clearness. You know, so they're talking about, you know, the clearness of heaven. So to me, that sounds like glass, you know.
Then Job 37.
In Job, it says, where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. You know, so there's definitely a foundation, like a house, you know. And then Job 37?
37:18. Job 37:18 is when they're asking what it is. He says it's as a molten lava looking glass.
That's
and
right.
We know that lava is the only way to make glass. And check this out. When it's cooled rapidly, obsidian turns into what we call blue obsidian. If it's made of, if there really is an Antarctic ice ring, we know that if we took the ring of fire, what they call it, along the equator, if you flatten it out into a flat Earth map, it's right there along the border of the ice wall. Like, for example, me being in Hawaii, I'm towards one of the furthest corners of the dome, supposedly, right? And that's where we have the most active lava. So if it is being cooled down rapidly by these waters, that would explain why the sky's blue and why water's blue, even though they're both clear, because the blue glass dome would explain that perfectly.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I would agree with that. That's why the blue color on the dome is a definite, you know, giveaway right there. I mean, you know, it's not from the ultraviolet rays of the sun, obviously. You know, I mean, this is something in the back that's creating this, and that would be water.
And then going up, because water's clear, so it's going to be clear even if it's above, right? But if there's a blue glass, like the Bible says, that would make sense. Plus, it would explain shooting stars and all this different stuff that we see, because the byproduct of obsidian is this stuff called perlite, which everybody knows is for planting soil, right? But where do we get this abundant mineral that's non-renewable? What? Doesn't even make sense. It's non-renewable. Where is it coming from? It behaves when it's heated up through pressure, the exact same way that shooting stars do, as these expanding pellets that have a tail behind them and then disappear. So if that theory is right and the Bible is leading us the right way, that it's made out of lava and it's blue lava and it's obsidian, well, then even Tesla would be impressed, because his Tesla coil is made out of glass, right? Glass is dielectric. All the lightning that's shooting upwards could be helping to energize this realm that we live in, to circulate everything. I mean, we're an electric universe. So who knows? But I say it's blue glass, and I think it's blue obsidian.
How do you spell that? Obsidian?
Obsidian, Obsidian. And obsidian is amazing. If you look into the properties of obsidian, every single time you crack an obsidian, it always forms an arch. That's exactly right. It does. And not only that, but obsidian carries a rainbow within it. That's pretty strange too. But check this out. Obsidian has also got all kinds of properties, like it's dielectric. But surgical surgeons know this. The sharpest thing known to man is obsidian. It's sharper than the sharpest surgical steel blade. If you take a surgical steel blade and you put it under an electron microscope, you'll notice it still has jagged edges. But an obsidian cracked with the arch on it is so sharp that you won't see any edges. And a matter of fact, if you cut your skin with it, it's so sharp you won't bleed. Pretty crazy, right? So they use it for surgery.
Wow.
It's got all kinds of wonderful properties to it. And it's the only type of natural glass.
That's very interesting. Psalm 136:6. To him who spread out the earth above the waters. He spread out the earth above the waters. Didn't say he created a ball, and hung it there, floating. He spread out the earth above the waters.
Isaiah says that the earth is a circle. Oh yeah, never mind. It didn't say it was a sphere.
And this is interesting too. In Psalm, it says, their voice goes out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them he has set a tent for the sun, which comes out like a bridegroom leaving his chamber, and like a strong man runs its course with joy. Its rising is from the end of the heavens, and its circuit to the end of them. There is nothing hidden from its heat. Like talks
If
about
you ever
the
watch
circuit of the sun, right there.
It does come out like a tent. It does come out like that.
Yeah.
If you're in a high altitude balloon and you watch the sun, it looks like the sun is actually touching the land. It comes up in this tent.
Yep.
And the Bible the book of Enoch could help us understand a lot of the questions we have with the sun setting and where does it go, because the book of Enoch, who was taken up by the angel Uriel. And remember, Uriel was the one that had the flaming cherubim that was guarding protecting the Garden of Eden, that saw the lamb's blood was painted on certain people and took out those other the bad guys. So we're dealing with an angel that's of the highest power, right? Uriel. Well, Uriel took Enoch up and showed him these portals, these doors where the sun went and set. And, so it's beyond our comprehension, really. But the Bible is a science book, I think.
Yeah.
It is a science book. It is. There's no question.
Even the lessons in it are psychology. The parables are psychology. All of it is either science or physiology. Even it tells you diet and everything in there. I think it's just a rule book to live by to be a prosperous human being. Look at the 5 commandments. Real simple. You follow the 5 commandments and you're set. Don't
5, 10.
Well, the first 5 are listen to God, your parents, stuff like that. So I'm just saying the rules, real simple. And I think that everything in the Bible, if we were to somehow be able to hypnotize everybody like NASA did, get everybody to follow the rules, we'd all be singing Kumbaya in the land of milk. Because everything really is free. We're just charged for it. They charge us for doing the labor and they tax us on it, right? So absolutely. I think if we could get back to something that's biblical, the world would be such a good place.
Well, it's funny because there are so many Christians in the world, and so they read these scriptures, yet somehow they're able to read these scriptures and convert it into a ball.
I'm just getting ready to ask you that.
They just ignore when it talks about foundations of the earth. Just totally ignore that it says that he made it immovable. Just ignore that one too. And
they're apologists. Just like when I talk to them about evolution and they go, well, God's powerful enough that he could have created evolution or not. What does it really matter? It's not a salvation issue. And you're like, yeah, it is a salvation issue. Because if you're worshiping something that you don't believe in, you're not going to really do it. That's why there's all kinds of Christians out there doing immoral stuff, because they don't believe what they're reading. They're just trying to go along to get along. It totally is a salvation issue. Evolution, flat earth, 100%. You have to believe what the Bible says. Just like 7 days creation. It was literal days. It said, and then there was day and then there was night. So it was a real literal day. And when they try and elude it and say, well, maybe a day is 1,000 years to God, you can't do that. You have to take it literally. And when you do, it's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it is. It is.
Do you think Catholics look at the Bible a little bit different than other Christians?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We have been going for 3
Even though
hours
we're
now.
reading the same book.
We don't know CC that well or Steve that well. What's the thing, like CC is or even Suzette, what's the thing you hate the most about the live? Is it all of it, or is it like, I know Bling Bling hates NASA and wants my money back.
Absolutely. It's my biggest one.
What gets you the most, CC?
Yes, isn't that a shame with NASA? What a disappointment. I mean, what a disappointment. I really thought we were going to go to some planet somewhere, colonize everything. We should have been there 20, 40 years ago. We should have been there. We've done that. We're not going anywhere with this. They're not going to do anything. We're not going anywhere. We can't go anywhere. They can't fake it anymore because now we're all awake, so we're going to tear any video that they have apart, bit by bit, frame by frame, and they're not going to get away with this nonsense anymore, and they know this. You know, I'm surprised they even did that SpaceX. That I was even shocked about, that they even launched that at this point. That's the last you'll ever see of it. I'm absolutely
The car?
certain about that.
The Tesla?
Yeah, God, jeez, my Lord.
And people believe
Lord
that.
help us.
I want
It's
those
still up
tires
there,
on,
it's floating around.
I want those tires on my car. They won't pop. That's
Yeah, right. Those are
it's
pretty
amazing,
damn
isn't it?
good tires.
That's some great
I mean,
tires.
I live in Florida. I got to replace my tires every couple of years from dry rot, you know, from
Yeah,
the sun.
you got about 30K, about 30,000 off of my tires. That's about it, and I got to replace them. Oh, they just launched off the thing. I got kicked off the NASA live feed again, once again. You can't resist. I know it's childish, you know, but you see them launching this off, and you got a live chat.
You need a good laugh every once in a while.
Yeah, you do. It really is. It's like medicine for all of us. You know, it's good therapy. I should say.
The solar probe. We're going to get as close to the sun as they've ever been. And
That's right.
But there's lots going on in the background that, you know, it's gross and makes me sick to watch their meetings and all these people and all their plans and, you know, new spaceships and how they're planning on launching rockets from American soil again with astronauts, and that's all coming together, and this is their big plans. And they're getting better and better at their fakery on the space station. So I've been watching footage and something recent, and they're really getting tricky with, you know, really speeding up footage. They were replacing one of those in the laboratory of the Columbus unit, one of those racks, and they were replacing it. And even with me slowing it down as slow as I can on YouTube, like, it's still really, really fast. And then I'm seeing really weird things. So I'm going to be making a video on that, including that in my video, because there's like stuff that don't look right at all. Don't look right at all. Dots on the hands and some transparencies going on, and it's you know, there is stuff, but it's still like, to the average person watching that, like, they would, if they were looking into flat Earth and what we were saying, and then they came across that video, they would say, no way, that's real, man, like, look at that, like, it, you know. And then you watch them, and Paxi has her own freaking channel now, that stupid green and red doll they have, and you know, it just it's so embarrassing to watch, you know, an astronaut that's, you know, really educated with a master's degree and all of his background and experience, standing there talking to a freaking doll. You know, like, hi, Paxi, how are you today? It's just gross. I was just watching Issa, you know, I watch Issa most of the time because they put out way more stuff. And it's like, oh, it's just vomit. Like, it's just all children's indoctrination. It's just all children's brainwashing. You know, like, what man in his right mind would want to talk to a freaking doll, you know, like that, being a professional astronaut and all of this training.
Reality doll.
You know,
A virtual reality doll.
Well, that's the same doll that they morphed in. You know, that's the same one. That's their little.
Thanks, Bling Bling. Thanks for that. I know you hate NASA, but is that CC? Is that your most hate? Is NASA?
Did I find NASA before I found Flat Earth? Actually, I was the reverse guy. I got into Flat Earth before I got into NASA.
No, it's not the question. She wants to know what you hate the most about all of this with the deception. For me, it's NASA and the children indoctrination lie.
It's multiple things. Sorry, Karen, I couldn't hear you. No, it's multiple things. It's where we are right now. You know, I hate NASA. Don't get me wrong, but I know that is a government agency that's been created to indoctrinate everybody to not believe that the Earth is flat. That's there to completely make everything look like everything's hunky-dory and we're going to go off somewhere. But it's the religion, it's the prejudice, and it's everything else that has brought us, well, not us, but everyone else, the general population, against each other. The sports, the politicians, everything. I mean, all of that has just pretty much brought everybody against each other, running around like little ants, not knowing where to go, when there's one thing that we should be concentrating on, and that's a flat Earth, bottom line. And what they've created is a society that is just screwed up for everybody, and that's what really disappoints me. And it's worked so well that we can't get out to the people that truly believe it. Maybe that the Earth is flat, and they might get over everything else and look beyond Hollywood, look beyond all the indoctrination that everything has been created. And it's making it more difficult for us to get through to those people. That's what also disappoints me. But NASA is definitely number 2.
Yeah. Number 2, cool. Suzanne, what's your most dislike about this all?
Well, there are 2, but my first is just how ignorant I am and everyone is about our world, about our existence. I mean, we don't know truly, why is the sky blue? How far is the moon? How far is the sun? What is the moon? What does create tides? What is the movement of the moon and of the sun? What does create seasons? These are basic things that we should learn about when we are children, and we don't. And I'm 45 years old, and I'm just now exploring and trying to figure all these things out on my own. And that makes me angry. And then the fact that the lie has become so big and they just keep adding more and more and more, finding new galaxies, new suns, new stars, building up this huge, huge lie, none of it proven, and people just eat it up. Those 2 things make me angry.
Tell us more.
Yeah,
you go, girl. Actually, can I just quickly say something? In that video I said about the day 1 of the conference with Rob Skiba, he was talking about an app that was made that triangulates distances, and then he was talking about these 2 guys. One was a flat earther and one was a globe head, and they both used the app at the same time to take a photo of the moon. And then they went to like a calculator, online calculator, and did the math on it. And they both figured out the moon was 300 miles away. And they took the app and went to see like a university professor, because it was someone who was heliocentric that even invented this app, and asked him about the app and what do you think of the app, and it's great, I think the app's great. And they asked him, what do you think of this particular online calculator? He goes, it's great, it works perfectly. And that's when they said, well, it's really weird because we both used it the other day and we discovered that the moon is 300 miles away. So then he was like, it's got to be a glitch or something like that. So how interesting is that the moon is supposedly now 300 miles away?
Well, I believe it. I mean, when you look
that far away anyway.
What's that, Karen?
I don't even think it's that far away. But anyway, Suzanne, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, yeah, I totally believe that it could be 300 miles away or less, because when you look at those close-up images that people take with their P900s, I mean, up close, like you can touch it. There's no way it probably is not even 300
Well,
miles
imagine,
away.
you think about it this way, if you can get it in focus in a P900 and a P900 sees for about 25 miles, I'd say it was close then.
Yeah, I can zoom right
Definitely.
in on that sucker and see the craters really well. In fact, when the P1000 comes out, that's going to be even better. So
That's
we'll
what I'm
be able
showing my
to
camera.
once and for all prove there's
Yeah.
no flag and no dune buggies sitting there.
Anyway, Steve, what's your hatred? What's your most hated part about this lie?
You know, I would say the education system. I think that when people, if there's something that you don't know or can't prove, then I think you shouldn't teach it as fact. You should let, if there's kids that believe that the earth is flat, let them think that. If there's some that believe the earth is a globe, let them think that. But to indoctrinate people and have them believe, one model when you can't prove, that model 100%, I think is completely wrong. And I think society as a whole, and I think it goes back to programming. It seems like, and when you're a child, you believe that there's a Santa Claus. You believe that. You believe there's a tooth fairy. There's all these lies being told all the way, your whole entire life. And you grow up out of some of them, and then they plant bigger ones on you, and then you're believing those when they all seem to be just a fraud. So I think people should just be honest. Like I don't tell my other little kids, they didn't believe Santa Claus was real. You know what I mean? And it was like, but they want the gifts. So I think sometimes, you know what I mean? So I think people believe things if there's something they can get out of it, right? So if you believe, people wouldn't believe in Santa Claus if they didn't think they were going to get gifts. They wouldn't believe in the tooth fairy if they didn't think they would get money for their teeth that were lost. And so sometimes, and I love the what religion teaches, but I don't know how much people would believe in it in a God if they didn't think they would get salvation or everlasting life. You know what I mean? So I think belief sometimes isn't a good thing, but I think the knowledge that you get from like the Bible, for example, is a great thing. So, because I know there's like religious flat earthers, there's people that aren't flat earth, that aren't biblical, and so on. But I think the Bible is a great book, but I don't think that it was meant to be believed. I think that it was meant to be inspired by. So I think, like for example, the stuff that Jesus done, if we can be inspired by the great things that he's done, the world will be a better place. Because when you believe in something, you really don't know. And I think the problem why people fight is because one people think their religions are better than the other, or their this is better than that. So I think if you can be inspired by something as opposed to believing in something, I think you will go a lot further.
Hey.
Well, I agree with that. I don't believe in organized religion at all. I have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ,
There you
and
go.
that's all I need. I don't need to
Hmm.
go to organized religion. I've been disappointed way too many times by them to ever set foot into a church again to listen
Yeah.
to a church service. So
Yeah, I
they
agree.
did that to me. I don't need that. I don't need it at all. I'm very happy doing it on my own, and it's a better walk that way.
Yeah.
Joey, what's your hatred of it all? Or the thing you hate the most about the lies?
Well, only because I got an opportunity to listen to everybody else's answers, I got to actually think about it for a second. And it really, if I had to choose anything, it would be NASA. And the reason why is because I believe that they gave everybody else the opportunity, the platform to deceive everybody. So I would blame NASA. And going back to the Bible says that the number of the beast is to be calculated. That's what it says it is to be. And what do you do to calculate? You use a calculator, right? Or you do it on pen and paper. And it says the number is 666. So we know that 23.4 minus the 90 degrees is 66.6. But every
Hmm.
single other number is too. And we know this is flat earthers. But what a lot of flat earthers don't know is like the moon, according to NASA, what axis is it at? 6.66 degree axis, because it has to be, right? What about the sun? What axis is the sun at? 13.3. Keep on looking into this stuff. So my hatred, and I won't even call it hatred anymore, because that, violence begets violence. But my blame is on NASA. I hold them responsible for the pedophiles in Hollywood being able to do their thing. So I think that if we concentrate our efforts on NASA, we get all the moon landing hoaxers, the flat earthers, all the different stuff. I think that we bring them down with NASA. So I hold them 100% responsible for allowing all this other filth to be around. And if everyone would subscribe to Karen Pettit's show, then we'd have more of a platform to spread more awareness.
Well, everyone that's listening in right now in the chat, they're all subscribed. There's no question about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
You just need, you know, it takes a while to build a channel, sadly, you know, but eventually it will happen. It'll get real big. Certainly, probably the best hangout that there is on YouTube for Flat Earth to bring people together. There's nothing like this.
I have no life. I've devoted my life to doing this whole movement, and so I jump around to different channels all the time. This is the best for sure. Not to put down any channel because every channel was awesome. This is the best.
I agree. I think she talks about, she gets deeper into all kinds of things too, not just Flat Earth, but you know, spirituality. I've seen a couple things that I'm like, you have a really good channel for, I think, all kinds of different things. But I think definitely Flat Earth is the core of it all. But I think she talks about a lot of good stuff on this show.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's really you lot that does it. You do it. You lot.
I'm gonna put my camera.
Yeah, Karen, you do an excellent job. Terrific job. I'm telling you. You know, I watch a lot of stuff from you.
It's all of us together.
I gotta put my baby to sleep, so it's a little bit past her nap time. So we're gonna say love you guys. I'm still gonna be listening in, but I won't be able to chime in. Okay, guys. So thank you for everything. I love all you heroes.
Joey, brother.
Love you too, Joey.
Take care.
Joey. Yeah, Joey, you have a good one.
And just like I hold NASA responsible as my #1, I hold Karen responsible for the platform that she creates. Thank you so much. I really love you. All the guests on here and everybody in the chat room and everything. You guys are all my heroes. So I'll see you guys soon. I'll see every one of you soon.
All right, Joey.
Definitely.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one, Joey.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you, Joey. We are going to finish shortly, but Bling Bling, I know you're on holiday at the moment, but what's coming up for you? Each one of you explain. Like, obviously, we know what Suzanne's going to say, but she can still repeat it because we need this information out. But what are you planning to do? Make a video then.
I love when you say on holiday. That's such a British thing. It's so cute. On holiday. I'm on it. On holiday. You know, as a Canadian, we'd always say, you know, going on a holiday, but not just saying on holiday. So I always think that's cute. But of course, I'm making a video, and I am deep into it. You know, I'm trying. I don't want to keep it long, but I've got a lot of material, so it'll be coming out soon. I'm going to be. We're leaving actually tomorrow. It's tomorrow Tuesday. Yeah, we're leaving to drive back to West Palm Beach tomorrow. So I'll be back. I guess 3 days after that. So once I get home, I'm going to get back to work on that. So it should be out like very quickly. I know a lot of people have been asking me, when's your videos coming out? When did your video come out? Very, very soon. I promise now. Like, it's very close. So hang in for that. And that's it. I just been like now watching a lot of footage again here, even on holiday. When, you know, the kids are, they're, you know, I'm here with my dog Emma, so I've been kind of stuck with her. I can't take her everywhere. So I've been here alone a few times or whatever. So I've been spending that time just looking at footage, and it's amazing what you can find in a short time if you're really looking for stuff. So I've got even more now just from a couple of days of just really looking. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Oh, I do very much appreciate you joining us from your trip away.
Oh, that's right.
Cece, what about you? Apart from moving, although that's a big.
I'll tell you, it's been well. That's really what my focus is on right now. You know, just trying to. In terms of the future, I'm gonna start doing little you know, segments on the stars. I you know, came up with a couple of ideas with you know, simple arts and crafts store. Go down there. I want to get a black drop, a black cardboard box. I want to poke some holes through it. I want to put a cellophane fixture on the back of it, and I want to shine a light through it. And I want to get far enough away where I can zoom in on it with, you know, just a conventional camera. And I want to see what the stars look like that way, and then I want to show what the stars look like in the actual sky, because we all know, I mean, it's an amazing light show up there. It really is a beautiful, beautiful light show up there. And I want to see what the difference is, you know, between that and just, you know, me talking to everybody and trying to wake people up and continuing the activism and, you know.
Has it been raining? Your car looks wet.
Oh, it has been raining here in New York for probably about 2 weeks now, on and off. So California, you know, California is burning up in wildfires out there. Here across the country in New York, it's just been saturation. And that's a whole other topic I don't even want to get into because I could talk about that for hours, and I don't have the time. I know you guys don't have the time. We all, you know, have things to do. But, I mean, they, you know, all right, don't get me started. I'll leave it at that. I'll get into it.
For another show.
Another show, exactly, Karen. Another show. I'm going to be buying your book, by the way, too, so don't worry about that.
Yay.
Suzanne, do you want to explain a bit about your book, where you get it from again, in case people didn't hear, and just show a picture of it? I'll just put your picture up so you can see the cover of the book.
Okay, so here's the cover, and it's called Granny Knows the Earth is Round and Flat, and it's available on Amazon, the soft cover. And then if you want the hard cover, you have to go to Lulu. Just type in the title, Granny Knows the Earth is Round and Flat, and you'll find it. And thank you, Karen, for inviting me on and giving me a platform and a voice. I appreciate it.
Oh,
and I love all that you do.
And you too. You've written a book. Thank you. Steve, what about you? What are you up to or doing? Any more meets?
You know, not a whole lot. I am thinking about doing some, I guess they call it flacticism. There you go. I noticed flactivism. But yeah, there's some guys out here in LA talking about trying to do something at Santa Monica and Venice Beach. So that's something that I'm looking into. We're trying to get the numbers of people to go to maybe do you know, some stuff out there on the beach. So that's something I'm strongly considering. And I'm looking at maybe starting a group where we get not just flat earthers, but other people like, but concave and other people too that have their views, where we could all collaborate on something. I think if we can collaborate, we'll come on up with a model that's probably flat. But 'cause I see when I look at some of the stuff, I think I'm not really into a model, but I like the fact, like we were talking about earlier, that they agree with us on most things. And so I think there's a little bit of truth in both things, that I'm trying to figure out how we can like form something to make something that works. Because even though I'm not a model person, I am interested in figuring out how this whole plane works. And so I think it takes looking into a few different things to come up with the right thing, because it seems more interesting. Like, you know, before this movement, I was never really interested before in how the word, I just thought it was flat, and I can care less what people think. But now I seem to be more interested in actually, well, how does this work? Because sometimes, you know, people do want to know, and I think that's the only thing that's holding most people from coming over to the flat earth is like, we have something that works. And to me, it doesn't explain, just because you have a model, it doesn't explain that doesn't mean that the earth is round. But I think to a lot of people, that seems to be the only thing that's keeping them from switching over. And so I kind of understand that, okay, maybe we might have to come up with something. So, you know, I'm heavily thinking of coming up with something that, even if it's really out there, but not too out there, that might work.
Yeah, thank you for that,
Good.
Steve.
Yeah, I like that.
Suzanne, can you hold up your book again? Your camera was not on when you said that.
It was.
Oh, really?
I didn't see it. It was just your icon picture. Oh, Granny Knows the Earth is Round and Flat. I was just looking for it for some reason on Amazon, and I did not see it. But I am in Canada right now, and I don't think I was signed in, so maybe it doesn't even sell in Canada. Interesting.
Sorry.
Well, it's
Go
good.
back up again. My panel has been so slow tonight. Like the
Right.
camera switching over on the panel.
I spelt it. Maybe I spelled Granny with IE. Maybe I'll have to try it again. I'm gonna order it for my grandson. I'll probably get killed for it. Well, no, not by my son-in-law, because he knows the Earth is flat too. I actually have a truther here, but again, he's one of the people that, well, he doesn't. He's more of like one of the ones that if it doesn't really affect his life, kind of thing. But he knows the Earth is flat, and that's fine with me. So I'm gonna get Owen that book. I want him to have it.
Awesome.
Can I just say for Cece and Steve, we say goodbye off air usually. I mean, sometimes people click off when we end the hangout, but usually the people on the panel, we just say goodbye to each other off air. And thank you so much, everybody in the chat room. It's been a really great chat, really interesting. We've talked about many, many things. I've really enjoyed it. So thank you so much, Suzanne, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. You're awesome.
Thank you,
I love
Karen.
meeting everybody here. Everybody here.
Thank
This is
you
fantastic.
guys too. It's
Thanks
been a
to the
pleasure.
chat room.
Yeah, definitely been a pleasure.
We're back tomorrow, so see you tomorrow, everybody, and thank you again to everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.